in the middle of doing stuff. So
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we're live. So, yeah, all right. Tonight we've got Mike Heartattakkerman, Billy Joel style, and then also got a guy that you guys have probably never really seen on here before, but I mentioned him in the video, James Gregory, a historian, fellow military history super nerd, and yeah, so that's who he is. So when people ask in the comments, I'm gonna be like, well, the guys that are watching immediately will be able to answer it in the comments. So, but yeah, yeah, it's cool to have you on again. And like, also, this is like, I don't treat this as like a professional thing. It's like we're just gonna shoot the shit like we normally would, and like analyze photographs and shit. So it's
sure,
all good.
sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
And so,
just have fun.
yep. So all right, people will start pouring. Oh, cool. Yeah. Now that we've started, we've got. All right, Friday Night Shot. Hell yeah. So, Mike, what do you? How many pictures do you think you have?
I got 12 right now.
Cool.
I got 12. Before we start, though, I did want to bring something up that I thought was kind of interesting, and it just happened. I think the other day, Point to Hawk, World War II. Where the Normandy,
Yep.
where the Rangers came up on D-Day. There, the rock formation down there. That's the point. It's split in half the other day and just crumbled to pieces.
No shit.
Just from natural erosion.
Yeah,
And it's been that way since World War II. It's been that, and it just cracked and fell over. And so there's people are all today are just up in arms about it. Not like pissed off, but they're just like, oh my god, isn't that crazy? It's like so nature, dude. Like it's gonna happen,
right?
So it's just interesting to see on on Facebook. I opened it up and just saw that, and it was like, Point to Hawk, is the point broke? R.I.P. basically. And,
yeah, I was more concerned about Notre Dame getting burned to the ground,
burning onto the ground.
Right, because it's not a natural formation, and it got burned somehow, and it's like that was weird. But like,
I watched that happen live. Yeah,
so did I. I was watching it. I'm
crazy.
Just like, I'm like, fuck, man, like this is not good. Like that's
only one I've seen recently was a woman in Texas at Goodwill paid $35 for this bust of a head. Turns out it was a 2,000-year-old Roman bust that had been looted by an American soldier in World War II. And so they're returning it to Germany. But
good.
She paid $35 for this bust.
At
Goodwill. Thing that's probably worth thousands or something.
Yeah, it's on display in a museum there in Texas,
priceless,
and then in a year it'll be going back to Germany.
Cool.
Good. I'm glad the person wasn't like, no, this is mine now after figuring it out.
Apparently there was a museum in Germany where, and I don't remember the name, but he just was fascinated by Pompeii. So he had them build a replica of one of the villas from Pompeii. And then it was a museum inside.
Nice.
And it was bombed and destroyed during the war. So they knew a lot of things were either gone or looted.
There's a lot of art during World War II, looted, destroyed. It's tragic. I mean, because I'm a huge fan of Van Gogh, and there are a number of Van Gogh paintings that were destroyed during World War II
or lost. Yeah,
or lost.
Way,
I'd love to see the photos, especially with World War One, of famous painters who went on to have careers. I bought one not too long ago. He was in the Camouflage Corps, and then after the war, he turned into one of the early modernists of the 1920s.
German?
No, he's American. Let's see. I've got it saved here on the computer, and I can actually tell you his name. I'm just horrible at remembering these things.
But no worries. Like,
where is he?
So that's why people are like, oh, if you know history, you just got to know the names and dates. It's like, that's written down.
Yeah,
Edward Frank Molyneux. But apparently in the 20s, he became quite popular for his modernist paintings. But he was painting camouflage for the AEF during the war.
Interesting. We'll have to look. I'm trying to look him up right now.
Okay, that is a pretty funny comment. I know one famous Austrian painter from World War One. That's clever. That's
easy
clever.
joke.
I'll give you that.
Well, anywho, should we get into photos? Because I got.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, James, I got World War II. That's the main.
That's
thing
okay.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Share. Share my screen.
Just don't expect a whole lot of in-depth commentary on my part.
Okay.
You'd be surprised, James, of what you notice and we don't.
Everyone notices different things.
Something
It's
different. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Don't know where it is. Looks kind of like Normandy. Could be Italy though. Early,
Yeah.
it's the first version of the Panzerschreck here. These are German Fallschirmjäger, by the way.
Oh, are they? Oh.
But first version of the Panzerschreck, I think anyway. I don't know. I can't tell. There might be a blast shield there. I can't tell.
There is. It's camouflaged.
Okay, yeah, he's got like fucking vines and shit all wrapped around this.
Very smart. Yep.
Yeah. MP40s, two MP40s, Panzerfaust, K98, rope net over the helmet here. That's like hanging
Well, that was
down.
from like 43, 42 actually on.
Okay. So you're thinking this might be Italy then?
I don't know. It could.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's get the Sherman a little bit. So, oh god, I wish I knew tanks better. And I could give you like all the little details. Like,
Yeah,
it's this model and it was used then.
This is why we need Brian on. Brian is a tank.
Yeah,
nerd.
exactly. Brian's like the armor expert.
Yeah.
So that. But here's the thing too: is like they're wearing what appears to be just the straight olive green smocks. They don't seem to be wearing the splinter smocks.
No. So that's interesting.
Which are more prevalent than, yeah.
Hearing some serious clicking noise. What is that? Is that
He's typing to his boyfriend. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it was me tapping my thumbs on the screen. Apparently that's where my microphone is.
Oh, that's the microphone right there. Yeah.
Let's just finger fuck it some more.
Yeah.
But yeah, these guys, they're not wearing jump gear.
No, well, I mean, yeah.
Ditched.
Yeah. It's like the last years of the war, like the Fallschirmjäger didn't do any jumps, which is
right.
Which is fun. German paratroopers, and they weren't even paratroopers at that point.
Right. Yeah.
So,
it's just
cool photo. Good. These are large ones, so we can go into a lot of detail with them. American with a Panzerfaust. So, I've actually seen quite a bit of photos of Americans with Panzerfaust where they would take them.
Shrimp net.
Yeah, shrimp nets on their helmets.
Suspenders in there. No canteen. So this is a stage shot.
Yep. Oh yeah. Stand there and lean on that tree and make it look like you're looking off into the distance.
And that guy's the guy on the left. His pouches are all open except for the last one.
Right here.
Yep,
Yeah.
They're all open. I'm just kind of hanging there.
I think to use the Panzerfaust, don't you have to take this cap off the back of it? I don't know that.
No.
Okay.
You don't have to. No.
All right.
It blows off.
Okay.
So yeah, they're boots. That's fun.
Yeah, buckle boots.
He's got wraps around. Or no, those are just leggings, but they're like weird. And that guy's got 43 double buckles on. So yeah, this is 43 plus.
Mm-hmm. Are those just service shoes without leggings?
No, those are probably 43s, but they just have the boots, or I'm sorry, the trousers bloused over the boots.
Okay.
Like really heavily. Like, so this is winter. This is probably like can you zoom in on their helmets really quick? Like the chin straps and shit.
You can barely see them.
Yeah, it's blurry. Okay. That's what
looks
I was
like the shrimp nets are over there, over the straps.
Yeah, that's fine. But like
right. So you can't see them real well.
36 suspenders on. Zoom out again. Why does this guy on the left have his E-tool on his suspenders with no pack? That's interesting.
On his back, just sitting there. That is weird. I don't know. maybe I don't know. It's some things you can't explain, you know.
So he definitely pays to actually understand World War II equipment, because I was just going to look at it and say, huh, bunch of guys in uniform.
That's why I like showing this stuff. Yeah, because Mike and Brian usually they're like, so this means that means this means
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I can only do it like World War One, but even then, it's not as detailed as Mike.
Well, if you got some photos, we can look at those because I'm willing to. I'm a novice when it comes to World
I
War.
mean, I've got one good one for sure I know of that I can show.
Let's do it.
See how.
So pull it up and then do share screen and then do your window that it's in. So when I'm looking at your porn catalog.
Oh yeah, you can look at all the porn I've got up.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, let's see. So if I just hit share my screen, yeah, you can just share the entire screen. It doesn't matter. All right, here we go. Can y'all see that?
Yep. Oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So these guys are in garrison, are they not?
This is in France.
Really?
Yes. So automatically, we got Pouties, right? So.
Oh, there they are. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here, let's just. Which side do you want to start on? Left or right?
Let me just observe the whole thing really quick.
Yeah.
See if I can pick out any details. These are obviously officers. They're wearing the Sam Brown. They got the collar with the insignia on there. They're U.S. obviously. In the background, they've got the. Oh, that's cool. The one guy, it looks like he's got in the kind of center, right? Looks like he's got a captured German helmet next to his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I like how someone wrote like diagrams on there, like card table,
Yeah.
chairs.
So on this photo itself, this is the back of it.
Okay.
So he actually wrote a whole letter.
Let's
back
show you
home.
what my life in the room looked like.
Yeah. So he's talking about the room. What we figured, he only signs it SAM. So, we couldn't really figure it out. But you can see he talks about how they've got the grand game of souvenirs. So you can see a German helmet, a Bosch helmet.
Oh, yeah.
But he only signs it SAM, and we've got Prender and Shreve. And what I was able to find was we think it's the 21st Engineers based on the names. But, can't really tell for sure. But if we just go ahead, and I mean, I love this photo because it shows all these unique, piles of paperwork for the officers.
Yep.
I like the little model plane here on the table.
Yep.
You see, but I love these. Photos from home, photos of the guys.
And then one of their helmets is way above all that shit.
Yeah, up here, there's his helmet.
That's not a stretcher because they were not collapsible at that point. What the fuck is that behind it?
I don't know.
It looks like a collapsible stretcher or a cot, right?
Yeah, it kind of does. Maybe a cot.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at the cots, but I like, here's their overseas bag with their mirrors for shaving, Pouties, and then you get, coat and garrison cap sitting in the back.
Yep.
If we go, and there's their, canteens stored up underneath.
The 7-6. Yep.
Let's go to this side. So yeah, as you said, we got a revolver.
Colt 1917.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yep.
And if you go up, there's another one of those folded things that you were just talking about.
Yeah, up here, another one of them.
It's got to be a cot.
I think so. But yeah, we have a captured German helmet here.
Yep.
And this is Prender's corner, so this must be Prender's family back here.
So what month is this? And what year?
Let's see. I don't think he has anything here on it. There's no date. So
because they still got their campaign covers.
Right. Well, and they have them because if you look here, here's a campaign hat, right? So
that's what I mean.
Why does he have it? So this I think this is 1918.
But very early,
not,
you think?
1919. Yeah.
Really?
But,
yeah. Oh, it might be. Yeah.
It's got to be 1918, early on.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing: is they don't have any of their insignia on. In 1919, they would have had. Yeah.
There's no stripes. There's nothing. So I think this has
no unit patches. Yep.
And what I love is, especially when you zoom in. I mean, here's someone's trunk, tucked away.
Also, his wrist. Look at the watch.
Yeah.
Wristwatches were not that super common back then, but like as an officer, you're going to have one. Yeah. Wristwatches specifically.
Yeah, and then
that's interesting. So yeah,
you look here at the table. we got a violin.
Uh-huh.
We've got
Oh!
a mandolin, or whatever that is, or
Shit.
a mandolin.
Yeah, it's something. It's a it's.
You know what I mean? A
That
lute.
is a mandolin.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the right name.
Oh, I
It's a
was right.
mandolin.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. So yeah, you got instruments, and see, there's an engineer symbol, which is why I think this is the 21st engineers.
Well, it has to be. Like,
Yeah. The names match, symbol matches. So it's a great little image into the life of officers in 1918 in France. What does their quarter look like? Well, here it is. Bunks,
Yep.
tables, and all.
The nice
German
freshly made
souvenirs.
wooden bunks.
Yeah, exactly. The light bulb over here.
Yeah.
But I really love the family photos from home. It really,
Of course, yeah. And
shows
officers would
that
have the
other side of
luxury of
it.
having those.
Exactly.
Multiples.
Right.
But like, yeah. Yeah, and then the trunk, like you said, that there's a guy's trunk there. Officers were allowed a trunk.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty apparent. Like, that's really interesting. Like that, these guys are all officers, and they're just sitting there, and it still sucks because it's like, it's not the best of quarters, but it's also far from the worst.
Right. Well, and look at these two. I mean, these are their orderlies, right? So these are enlisted.
Yeah, you can see the collar discs. Yep.
Exactly. So you got two enlisted guys. I don't know why he felt it necessary to mark that these were chairs, but
It's like no shit.
there's chairs, there's a table.
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
Maybe he thought we were going to be too fucking stupid in
Right.
2022 which it's not far from the truth. I mean, some people, those are chairs. Okay, that's fantastic.
And what does he say on the bottom right there? He says like Schreids.
Schreibs, yeah. So what we were able to find is Schreibner was an officer in the 21st Engineers. So that's what we think is him.
So that's saying that bed is his home.
Yeah. So in the back right corner, this is the guy that wrote this letter. So, maybe he's writing this letter to one of those people in the photographs in the back right, and that might be him in the back right.
Right.
It says Sam's Corner, so that very well may be the author of this letter.
Yep, and they got somebody to take a photograph of them and just whatever, like saying, "Hey, take a photo of us."
Yeah, I think it's a great look at just the regular daily lives of what it looked like for these guys.
Yeah, off the line, like it's just this is actually fantastic. I love this kind of shit.
I mean, if you really want, I have some never before shared photos of the trenches, the Marines in the trenches.
If you're comfortable sharing it,
yes, please.
Here,
Please.
I'll stop sharing and pull it up. I've got quite a bit of because it was from I published it actually, so it's all published now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, I gotta find it. Clarence Douglas, here he is. Photos. All right, here we go. So this was a Marine in the 96 company named Clarence Douglas. And, cameras were not allowed on the front lines, yet Clarence snuck a camera to the front lines.
Oh, yeah, they're not allowed.
So, they're not allowed at all. Sure. So Clarence snuck one, and we have some of the only known photographs of Marines in the trenches. Because, the Americans didn't really fight in trenches at all. So
very few, very few.
Let's see. So here's Clarence Douglas in a trench, French trench in the Verdun sector.
Yep.
But let's see here. This is some American medics of the 4th Brigade.
Yeah, it's
in
corpsmen.
a trench.
Yeah, they're corpsmen. Yeah.
The Navy corpsmen.
Yep.
In the trench. So this is one of the only known photographs of American Navy corpsmen from the 4th Brigade in the trenches.
And they're wearing P-17s, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the lower pockets and everything. So that's cool. Very early.
This would have been taken in like March of 1918.
Yep, exactly. Very early, because a lot of people I know you know this, but the Marines once they're okay. Where do I begin on this? Most of the Marines in the First World War wore Army uniforms. And very early on, they went over there with their forest greens, their P-12s and P-17s, and they wore them until either A, they were suspected to be exposed to gas, which then they were discarded completely, or the laundry lost them, or they just wore out. Mm-hmm. And then the supply chains were so fucked at that point that they started just issuing Marines Army uniforms.
On that, it's a technicality. They had to wear Army greens because they were assigned to the Army. So as far as person
Sure.
was concerned, they need to be wearing Army uniforms. So
Right.
most of them were switched out, and then all the replacements that came over were immediately issued Army uniforms. So they weren't allowed to keep wearing their Marine uniforms. Which
Right, and
becomes
that's
a
the
deal
thing
later.
is like with the Bella Wood,
Mhm.
a lot of people think that they were all wearing their forest greens. It's like, well, some of them perhaps.
Right, but most of them no, they're all wearing Army uniforms.
Well, and
There's
some
no
of them what they
insignia.
right, yeah, exactly. What they would do without insignia because they didn't have the EGA color insignia at that point. B, some of them would cut off their Marine buttons from their forest greens when they were told that we're switching uniforms and keep sewing them on by hand. But it's like that lasted a hot minute because it's like, well, every time we get a new uniform, I have to sew these buttons on. It's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And so that happened for a bit too. And yeah, it's a thing. But these guys are wearing their P-17, so that means very early and very cool because yeah, they're in the trenches. We're in that, and so they got their SBRs on and everything. That's cool. And then yeah,
And
awesome.
this is it's actually named Forney, Guerry, and Smith. So I did manage to ID all three of them in the book. But he took these so you can
Good
see
work.
the devastation of the towns.
Oh,
The town is full of barbed wire all the way across.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's fucked.
Here it is. This is my favorite. I mean, look down the middle of town. It's just
Yeah.
this
No
is what
way.
the Americans are being put into. So he managed to get these. And in this photo, I really love this photo. Half these men were killed in Bella Wood 2 months later.
Yep.
So, and this is the guy who owned the photo album, Clarence Douglas. But you can see, I mean, I think that's here's their gas mask and their lap, reading the newspapers.
He's got like giant vulcanized boots on or something.
Those are galoshes. Those are trench boots.
Okay.
Yeah, Americans were issued those. The Brits started with waders, and they came out with these boots in 1917, and then that's something that like is never talked about. Like they wore these things all the time because they're rubber, and so yeah, obviously they keep your feet dry, but they're hotter. But it's a trade-off.
And you got these guys. I mean, he's still wearing pooties, so you get a whole thing. And this is Stockham's bunch. Stockham, I think, won the Medal of Honor. I don't remember. And these guys, 3 of these guys were killed at Bella Wood. So this is the last known photo of 3 of them.
Yeah.
See if they're, they called this Starvation Hill. So the Marines fought here.
Good God.
In the Toulon section.
Classic skeleton trees.
Zoom in on that guy really quick.
Yeah, but say he's wearing an EGA.
Yeah, on his overseas cap. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, it became the big deal of Marines trying to identify themselves. It became big.
Yep.
So in the 4th of July parade in Paris, some of them disobeyed orders and put their EGAs on their collar disc slots so people knew they were Marines.
Right.
That
guy's wearing an EGA as well.
Yep. Yeah, and he's wounded. So this is at the hospital.
That's also a French pattern overseas cap, which is fun. That's a Bonnet de Police. And that's great. Oh, yeah, he threw his big fucking EGA on there.
Yeah.
Heavy one. Yeah. Yep. The one that goes on his fucking campaign cover or his bell crown.
Mm-hmm. So you get these guys, really making sure everyone knows that they are Marines and not Army soldiers. Same thing with these guys. I mean, there he is again.
Yep.
Another one with an EGA.
Yep.
Nothing real special with these. And I'll give you one more never before seen photo before I throw it back to y'all. I've got so many damn photos hidden away.
Yeah, I know you do.
A side note, just quick side note. I love this guy's mustache, and I always have. And I bought these 2 photos 2 years apart on eBay, and I knew it had to be him from that damn mustache.
Yeah, can you zoom in on the patch?
Third Army.
Third Army. Oh, that's a huge Third Army patch. Holy shit.
Yeah, he was an engineer.
That's massive.
And he was like in his 40s.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, he's got his discharge chevron on there with his family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then his overseas service, or no, Yeah, it's his overseas service.
Yeah, Charles Hatcher
yep.
was his name. But here he is when he joined
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
Them rigid arms. Look at that.
Rigid
That's
as
also
hell.
a summer. That's also a summer tunic.
Mhm.
It's a cotton one. So
Yeah, there's. He was just one of my favorites overall. And I mean, you can see here, I've got them all.
Yep.
Air Corps, all these divisions, Siberia. You guys ever looked at some of the Siberia photos?
yeah, I have.
Good. They're wonderful.
What do you got for 32nd?
Got a couple. This is Henry Stark. I like him. He's got a double patch. So
Yep.
32nd Division patch, 3rd Army patch.
Yep. Yeah, because we're in the 3rd Army. Yep. And then
that one's fascinating.
Star in the window showing that their son is in the war.
Yep. This is what he got back, and he's wearing his helmet that he was given when they got home or on their way home because they had so fucking many of them. They're like, we're gonna give each doughboy a fucking helmet and a gas mask as a souvenir.
Yeah,
that's literally what they did. Yeah.
And then the other guy is this one, and he was Walter Evans. So this one was taken when he was still in training in basic.
Yeah, obviously. Oh my god.
Interesting backdrop there, but
yeah, the backdrops are a fascinating discussion all the way around.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah.
Let's see. Here's the real money shot, right? The 2nd Division. So, Marine Corps. I got tons of Marine Corps photos, but here's some really cool ones that you'll like. I think it's marsh leather. So, Mike, you might be familiar with the Battle of Blancmont that I just wrote an article about. Okay, so Battle of Blancmont. I actually last weekend I just accepted an award from the Marine Corps for the best article written on Marine Corps history last year. But I wrote about Blancmont and how on 4 October it was the worst day casualties for the Marine Corps. Well, this guy went back after the battle and took his camera to Blancmont, and these are some of the only known photos of the battlefield shortly after the war. So, here's some American graves. Like I said, 4 October was the single worst day casualties for the 5th Regiment up until Tarawa. So,
oh wow, yeah,
it was a big day. So American graves. Here's some French graves. I mean,
yep, you can see the Adrian helmets. Yep.
Yeah, you see it all in the background. I mean, Blancmont. I mean, it was white chalk. So
that's what it looks like.
So this is post-war because they're wearing.
Yeah, this is, and he was here in 1919. But like I said, it's the only really photos I've ever seen of the battleground after the war ended. So here's some German galleys that they had fought over. You see the barbed wire entanglements.
Oh Christ!
Still there.
Scattered.
You're not getting through that. Yeah,
No.
There's no fucking way.
Foxhole.
Wait a second. Go back. Oh, that's him just laying in there. I was like,
it's him laying in there. Yeah.
Like,
I figured. I figured that was what was going on.
Yeah. Okay.
French grave here in the trench.
Helmet.
German shells. Still
wicker
sitting there
case
after the war.
Yeah, the wicker carrying case. Yep.
This one's really cool because he said this is where they started that day and this is where they ended that day. So the trenches they started and stopped in on 3 October.
Looks the same.
So, I mean, check it. Entrance to a German dugout.
Oof.
We got German helmets scattered. And this is, months after the war is over. This is probably in February, March.
Yeah, you get the bodies out of there, but like the detritus is still there.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere.
I mean, you see them here in this trench, German helmets scattered across. Talk about souvenir hunting. I mean, damn.
Oh, I'm sure many of them are still out there.
This is my favorite. All right. Just look at this trench that he talked about, far right of their company. But I mean, if we zoom in, we got gas masks, show shot.
Magazine, yep.
Gas
mask in the canister.
Mask. Yeah.
Yeah, those are that one on the ground is an F2 gas mask. Yep.
Yep. German gas mask still in its canister.
Yep.
Yeah, the detritus you just can't. Yeah, there's
another can.
One.
Yeah.
Another one. I mean, it's amazing when you think about how much equipment just left over.
That guy's sitting next to an Adrian helmet.
Yep. Laying here. So the French, the Americans, the Germans all fighting over this spot.
I mean, think about like all that shit that's just laying there. Like, I mean, there was probably bodies just piled up in here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
where all that's from.
Exactly. And yeah, this one, another one just showing another trench they ended that day in.
It's not even a trench, it's a fucking...
Well, and here's another one, right? I mean, just look at this. Having to
Yeah.
attack this basically open field the Marines attacked to take these trench lines. You know, the Germans could see them coming. And the German accounts talk about the fact that the Americans are wearing damn near green uniforms on a white backdrop. They're really easy targets.
Yep.
Mhm.
So it became, quite severe for them, but always a fascinating look at the remnants of war. So I'll throw it back to you now. You don't have to.
That's good shit. A little bit of the... Oh, he fucking...
I
He'll be back.
was about to tell him I was just starting to have fun.
Yeah. No, this is why I say, man, World War One is fascinating as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a lot to go when it comes to it.
Yeah, it's fun. And you already recognize a lot of the shit. That's the thing, is like you recognize a lot of the minute details.
Yep.
And whatnot. So
No, sorry, wrong button.
There he is.
yeah, it's not the first time, not the last time.
I was about to say, James, I was just starting to have fun.
Like I said, I've got a million of those photos. I could go for days. So throw
Love
back to y'all.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. I don't know about never before seen, but I got some other photos. Let me see here. Some of these probably have already seen online. I hit share. Do I have to wait for something?
Oh yeah, me.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh. So that guy's got a Suomi. No. Yeah, that's a Suomi KP-31 with a coffin mag. These are Finnish.
Finnish? Right? I think so. Yeah, because I didn't look at the literature when I got this, but I mean, I've seen photos of Finnish guys where they have German stuff on.
Yeah, but those helmets are German. Those aren't Hungarian, which was the norm. Okay. The Germans, they sent them a bunch of Hungarian helmets, the M38 helmets that looked like that, but they had a bracket in the back, and their rivet placement was different. But that's a Suomi KP-31. Mm-hmm. I'm 99% sure, with a coffin mag, a 35-round magazine.
Yeah, interesting camo pattern this guy has on his helmet.
Right.
Or whatever the fuck that is. It's like he just took a piece of chalk and scratched it up or something.
Yeah, but not bad because they're in grass. So it's
right. Yeah, it works.
I just wonder what so that belt's not a German belt. It's thicker.
This one right here, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot thicker. Let's see if we can notice anything else.
I can't see much, but
he's about 50 million more things than I have on this photo.
Oh wait, so there's insignia on the right shoulder right there, on that guy with the KP-31.
Right here.
Yeah, and that I'm pretty sure is Finnish.
Okay, this guy has no color insignia on his, at least that I can tell.
Right. Well, you wouldn't be able to see it in this picture anyway. But he's also got his undershirt rolled up over his collar. So.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. USA. Nice. Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, I'm guessing this is some kind of back of a Sherman, maybe, because I can see the tank tracks back here.
I think it's an M5. It looks like an M5, the way it's sitting so high.
Yeah.
But yeah, USA, and then the nice looking through the binoculars, and he's got a fucking. Is that a Splinter cover? Because it doesn't look like that. It might be.
Yeah, it's Splinter. It's Splinter.
Yeah, it just looked. Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah. Wow.
It's a legit cover. It's not taken from a Zelt bond or anything.
Right. No, that's cool. So that's 43 onward.
Mm-hmm. And he's got stick grenades lodged in his belt.
Yep.
And MP40 pouches, MP40, of course. That's part of
sweater on.
Yeah, he does have a sweater on underneath. I was trying to figure out what this was right here. That's part of the back of the tank. You can see the wing nut on this right here.
I
was trying to figure
what
that
his rank. So go up on his shoulder boards. That guy's a fucking a cadet.
Because he has the little band over it.
Yeah, or maybe it was something, I don't know. That's because it would be a Feldwebel, like a sergeant first class or whatever. But like, he's got the other band over that. I don't know what the hell it is. Interesting.
Maybe that's why he is having his photo taken. Make me look cool because I'm
right.
You know,
Because I'm currently an NCO, but I want to be an officer.
Yeah.
Huh.
Very very neat. Famous photo right here. The Iwo Jima flag raising.
Have you read any of the Marine Corps' recent stuff on it?
I know that it's come to light that with James Bradley and like Renee Gagnon weren't in the photo and all that stuff. I haven't researched too much about it, but that's what I've heard anyway.
Well, the Marine Corps has done a great job at least admitting their faults, and so they actually published a whole book recently, within the last couple of years, about fixing this identification of these Marines and the flag raisers. So they were completely open about it, which is fascinating because it happened just like it was just two amateur historians that alerted them to it and started the investigation.
Well, it's I mean, I'm glad because once you get into the little detail, I mean, as we've discussed a lot, like Mike and I, the little details are what make all this shit. And it was like that's because I watched a video on it, and they were like, okay, look at the guy who's identified as James Bradley. Look at him, and then look at a photo taken of James Bradley a few minutes later, and this part is different. This is different, and it was just like all these little intricate things that are what blew the whole lid off the whole thing.
Yeah, it was amazing to just that amount of detail, and then to go through with it to say, hey, you guys are wrong. Here's the evidence.
Well, it's interesting too, and I saw some people online, like on Facebook groups and stuff, talking about, why did James Bradley then, go along with the whole war bond drive and say that he was in the photo and stuff like that? And it's like, well yeah. I mean, one, it's an opportunity to do something like that too. I'm sure he just didn't fucking care.
Well, there's a couple others. Like there was one, the son of one of the flag raisers. I think he might have one of the. I don't remember who his dad was, but apparently he had made himself a whole career like going to talks and always talking about this heavy weight of being the son of a flag raiser.
I think it
turns out his dad is absolutely not one of the flag raisers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was James Bradley, the guy who wrote Flags of Our James Bradley's son, the guy who wrote Flags of Our Fathers.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought, he spends his whole life being this persona of someone, my dad was a flag raiser, just to find out, nope, you are completely wrong and you've been living a lie.
The best thing he could do then at that point is then learn the truth, and then talk about that instead. But because that's hard to accept. But also James Bradley, he helped raise the first flag. He was there for that. He did help do that. So it's like maybe he was even like, you were the one who raised that flag. He was like, yeah, I did, and they thought he meant the famous one, but he actually meant so it's like he probably didn't even know his photo was being taken in the first place. So
some people did that with the other 16 in Alvin York after the war. They tried to claim, well, I was a part of it, but in reality they had joined the group guarding the prisoners after they came out of the woods. So technically they were part of the group that captured the prisoners, but only for like 200 yards.
Yep.
Interesting. Someday I want to sit down and have a whole Alvin York discussion with you.
I would love to see Mike's head explode more.
I'm planning on buying your book when it comes out. Like one of the first people. So my mind is gonna be blown.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking great. The only one I can really ID in this photo is Ira Hayes.
Yeah,
who's sitting down here in the corner, and with his M1 carbine. Now, I wanted to ask you about this, Mike, because like in the Pacific, you see a lot of like the dungarees and such like that being used. However, like on Iwo Jima and like Okinawa, I see M41s being worn.
The South Pacific, from what I understand, I'm not actually very savvy on it, but from what I understand, like talking with Brian and Sam and other people that are good on the South Pacific, is M41s were used throughout. Okay. And depending on what unit, what supply you had, what they, could issue you out, P42s, P43s, whatever, P44s, all this shit. But like, you're going to see, again, from what I understand, It's like, wish Brian was here. Fuck.
I know. He knows so much about this.
He knows or Sam, like either one of those
Sam,
guys,
too.
like they're really more well versed in this stuff. But like I was talking to them, like we were on the set and everything, and like I talked to them just normally, and yeah, you're gonna see this shit throughout the entire PTO.
Okay.
And that's why I think they're wearing these here.
Okay, yeah, because like the only time I see Marines wearing M41s is like on Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and it's like I thought that was an army jacket. It's just interesting.
Right.
So,
right.
like, and this guy too, he has like some weird thing stenciled on his chest. Like, I don't know what that
who
could
knows?
be. Yeah. So,
Weird side note, I'm a junior, so James Patrick Gregory. My dad is named after his great uncle, James Patrick Allen, who was a Marine and wounded on Iwo Jima.
Oh, interesting.
So I can at least say I'm named after Iwo Jima vet.
That's really cool. All these guys have got their fucking bayonets on. That's interesting. Yeah.
Could have been for the picture. Could have been just because.
Right, because they just climbed this hill too, like not
right.
too long ago.
Well, it seems everyone on the right doesn't have their bayonet on.
Right.
Just the guys right there in the middle.
Yeah. Huh. This guy's got his 1911 right here.
Oh yeah. He's married. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a wedding ring on.
Yep.
Yeah. Really
that guy's
cool.
got 3 out of the 6 fucking clips. The guy kind of zoom into your right a little bit more.
Like this right guy right here.
That guy. Yep. He's got 3 out of the 6 clips in his top bando gone.
Just use those probably.
Yep.
So a lot of guys have their heads cut really short because of hand-to-hand fighting.
Yeah.
So really cool. Don't know where this is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably in Italy. It's probably in Italy.
Probably Italy. Yeah. Guys lost his M41. You see that a lot in Italy where guys don't have their M41s on.
Yeah. Okay. This is an interesting one. This guy's got his bayonet on. So, okay. 3A. Oh, I can't fucking see the unit. Photo. Oh. So the guys that are taking this picture, that's their fucking ride.
Oh, this truck back here?
Yeah. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're like dismounting or something.
Well, no, they're like, hey, let's make a good picture.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, but they're like they've gotten off it.
And these guys just happen to be around, like whatever, maybe, because that BAR is a fuck again, Brian. Where are you? But I know it's an earlier. It's like the one we use. It's an A2, but it's like the very early variant of the A2.
What identifies it as that?
The lack of a bipod.
Okay.
And the whole muzzle device is different than it's shorter than the one we had. But also those were used throughout the entire Second World War, so who knows? But he's also carrying M1 bandos. And here, can you zoom in on his equipment? Yeah, so he's got a BAR belt on. He's a BAR gunner. But he's got 2 M1 bandos on. Unless he's got BAR. No, he can't have BAR mags stashed in those. There's no fucking way.
They're too. Well, these things look like they're packed pretty tight.
That's what I mean, but like there's no fucking way. Like maybe I don't know what he's got in there, but like it's not BAR mags.
I don't know, man. That photo looks real European. There's the building and the gate there looks like this had to have been taken in France or Germany to me.
You think France or Germany?
The architecture, architecture there screams Northern European 1940s.
Yeah, probably France.
Yeah, this has got to be in Europe or like France for sure because that architecture does.
Well, yeah, because we all know Italy's not in Europe. It's in the Mediterranean.
Shut up. You know what I mean.
I know. That's why.
That's the whole issue. I never consider Italy a part of the European campaign. I always include it down with the.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Look, Oklahoma, 45th.
Most people
don't
don't fucking consider it that, and like. It's fine, but like, but you're right. The architecture looks French. It looks actually more French because the
building and the gate. This has got to be in France.
Mm.
Okay, so zoom in on that guy's helmet, the BR guy's helmet. No strap. That's fine. Chin strap at his back. Okay, so get back out. Guy that's running. Zoom in on
Bayonet
him.
on.
Yeah, he's loaded down with the fucking bandos too.
Yeah, well that's fine, but like I'm just looking at the helmets, like no liner chin strap. It looks like in the front.
No, there's you can see the strap. Look on the right side
I
of
don't
his
think
ear.
so.
See the loop. Look, the loop right.
No. I'm talking about the liner chin
We're
strap.
talking about the liner that
leather
goes
Oh,
over the
that, okay,
visor.
okay.
Yeah.
the front one. Yeah, they've all got the chin straps on, but like, which is also an interesting thing. But like, so he doesn't have that zoom out. And then these guys have the nets on, and the angle is not good.
Only one guy has a net on.
So that guy's carrying an M1 carbine. So that guy's an officer or an NCO,
Yeah,
higher
he's
NCO.
got the sidearm. Yeah.
But we can't see his sleeve, which is fun. Interesting.
Ah, cool photo.
Very cool. Like, so yeah, I would actually like, that's why I kind of hesitated when I said Italy, and then when James said that France, it's like, yeah, the building looks a lot more French, and the fences look a lot more
Right.
Northern European. So
Right. If this was that's true. If this was Italy, those fences that wall would probably be cobblestone.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was.
But who
Italy,
knows? Who knows?
That's true. You never know.
Could be some
But
German.
I would say I would say you're more close, James. Like it's probably Northern Europe somewhere. So
Okay, this is Cherbourg in
Okay,
France.
I think this one might be in Italy.
fuck off. But yeah, it's so yeah, it's okay.
Lieutenant in the front here. You see on his helmet.
Yep. Well, yeah, and that's in D-Day. So people don't realize that like they only use like that insignia very infrequently, usually during invasions, and then they figured out that like that's not helpful. That everybody knew who the fuck they were anyway.
Yeah, well, and on D-Day too, all of the units had their division insignia on their helmet. Like, and that's another D-Day thing, like an invasion.
Not
thing.
all of them, but like a lot of them, yes.
A lot of them did, yeah.
Yep, and like the 29th, the 1st Infantry, and whatever. But here's the thing: in the MTO, the 36th, as we know from this, they put their even before the third ID put their shit on their helmets. They had that. The 34th also put shit on there. The 1st did that starting in like Africa and Sicily. And then they were like, well, there's a lot of officers getting smoked because their rank is clear as day. And so they stopped doing that. But like they stopped doing that in the MTO, but then also no, it's funny because they stopped doing that in Normandy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same or a little bit after that, or around the same time, like Anzio's happening, and it just never got communicated. Like they both would, in both theaters, they would wear this officer insignia, and then the Normandy thing. The big thing with Normandy is the bar on the back, the horizontal for NCOs and the vertical for officers. That was like, again, it was like, what the fuck? Like these guys know who's who.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I've seen a lot of photos where just the officers, their helmets have just nothing on them at all.
Right.
They're just completely bare. I slipped up though. I said, Lieutenant, this is actually a captain. His bar is
it's covering half of it.
It's covering with the net. Yeah, but you can see it on his
collar. You can see on the collar that.
Yep.
So let's look at the Germans a bit.
Yeah, that's always interesting. They got their
jack boots. Yep.
This is one thing though, if I may, that I see with a lot of German photos is that some of them like they'll walk with their hands like on their head, or they walk with their hands like on their necks, like this, like the guy in the front is doing.
It's just as long as they have their hands visible, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you start fumble fucking for shit like a weapon, then people get nervous. But like you're walking like this for so long, your arms get fucking tired. And this guy's older, and that's why the guy on the right or on the picture, he's got his hands over his head because it's like, well, I'm not going to sit here and do this the whole time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. But it's just interesting, and especially in contrast to like the modern day. Like, of course, when you go to reenactment events, all the guys who are prisoners, they go on their knees and they have their hands completely extended like this and everything. It's just like
when you initially capture someone, yes, but like when you're marching, this is like most of these guys have their hands on the top of their head or on just kind of on their neck.
Yeah.
But
again, it's these guys, like this guy right here, he's doing the same thing. But and this guy right here, he's like got his hands on his face like that. Like
right. And it's like you only have so many Americans, but like they also know, like, what am I gonna do here? I've got fucking
I know, but I've seen it's funny. I saw film footage one time of POWs, and like a lot of them they would do that to where they're walking either with like their hands on their necks or like on their faces like this.
Right.
It's just interesting. It's usually never ever see that.
Well, that's the thing is like this photo probably wasn't staged. It was probably just they captured this moment as it was happening. And a lot of the photos that are staged, they'll have them walk with their hands up or, very rigidly like this for propaganda purposes. So like, yeah, we did this. And the photos that my grandfather had of POWs in mass, they were just standing there like in a huge like formation, like they were like cattle out in the middle of a field.
Yeah, with their arms down probably, right?
Yeah, no, they were just standing there casually, like, whatever. And it's like they'd already been searched. And these guys are just trying to move these guys back away from the line.
Mm-hmm.
And also the guy in the front that's we were talking about the mustache, he's got a nice flashlight on him.
I saw that, right here on his on his coat. Yeah. That's cool. Beautiful. Interesting giant. He has a number of sacks and stuff connected to him.
Yeah, that's I don't know what the hell that sack is. Like that bag. It's
might be a personal thing.
It might be, but like that's interesting.
Yep.
And some guys are wearing the overcoat, some guys are not, and
no, this guy's got a Luger. Look at that. He's pointing it at him. Like, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus, yeah.
This guy's like, I'm going to pose for the camera. He pulls out his Luger that he captured.
Oh, that's I think it's P-38. But, yeah, who knows? It's blurry. It might be P-38. But, like, either way, What's up?
I'm trying to find, as a good juxtaposition to that one, the photo of captured Germans from World War I that I've got.
Cool.
So we can compare the two.
Yeah, those are very fun to analyze.
Yeah, always interesting. This guy might be a tank crewman back here.
Yep, could be because he's wearing black. Yep,
wearing black and he's got like leather gloves on. They all go. Like, some of these guys got their hands on their faces and shit. It's just weird.
Let's see. Okay, here it is. I can. Whenever you get done with it, I'll share.
All right, I'm almost done. I like this guy. Yeah, you're saying, like Mike, you said this photo's probably not staged. It's like I like this guy's look on his face, like looking at, someone's taking our photo. Very, very candid.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
So fucking destroyed building over here.
I gotta go deal with the weasel horse really quick. I'm just gonna let him in, and then I'll be back in a bit.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next photo.
So, yep, perfect.
James's thing. Looks like this could have been taken in the same place.
Yeah, definitely Italy.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like that guy. I like him right there with his pistol out. I'm helping.
Yeah. It's funny though, like as you get into, and obviously you know this because you've done a lot of this way more than I have. Like these photos are all staged, and 90% of them, it's gonna.
It's crazy comparatively when you look at Signal Corps photos from World War I. The majority of them tend to be candid.
Oh yeah,
and like so it's fascinating to see that back then there might be a few that are staged, but the majority are just completely candid photos.
Yeah, that's true.
During the war, so it's fascinating to see the mentality change between the two on, what's a good photo in World War I versus we need to pose y'all to get a good photo,
right?
In World War II, because look at that guy. What's the guy down there on the left? Is he supposed to be helping a wounded?
I think
soldier?
So. Yeah.
Is that what's happening there?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to have a wounded guy, but look at him in the doorway. He doesn't seem too concerned.
He doesn't give a
what's
fuck.
going on. So compared to the guys here on the right, they must be looking at two separate situations.
Well, also, this guy's gonna lose his fucking ears. The BAR blasting above his head. If that was
we need a gun in every window.
Right. Yeah. Look at this.
You see the bayonet sticking out of the window down to the left. You can't see them. There's the barrel sticking out of the window.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny thing. So it's the photos I have seen that you can tell actually are taken in combat are usually like blurry as hell, and you can't see what the hell is going on.
Yeah. And I don't think, as far as World War I is concerned, I don't think I've ever really seen a photo in combat. And maybe like in the back of the lines when you see the guys going off the line, but never in combat.
Well, were all the cameras at the time, were they the ones that had to have a really long exposure?
No, you had the smaller Kodaks. So they had camera, but it was forbidden for them to take cameras to the front, which is why those I showed are rare. Because to have someone take a camera to the front who wasn't Signal Corps was, quite a rarity. So most of the photos you see from the men are either after they've been wounded or behind the lines or 1919.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Mike, we were just talking about this very authentic, totally not posed photo here.
Right. Very, very authentic. They're like they're in the shit, you know?
Yeah. The photographer just standing out in the middle of the street to capture it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's covered. He's covered. Look at all these guys.
He's in the other building across the street.
Yeah.
Good to go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hand it off to James now for what you got.
This one Mike's probably seen, and it's actually the heart of my case against Mastriano being a fraud. Let's see.
Yeah.
German prisoners.
Okay, so we've got two. I can't see their collar or their shoulder boards, but they're at least NCOs.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they are Bavarian.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it's pretty grainy, but like,
yeah,
minimum NCOs. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to get much better than that. But like,
not really. But I thought it's a great juxtaposition. You know, look at how calm these guys are.
Yeah,
hands down in their pockets.
Yeah, they're gentlemen.
Yeah,
these guys have also been processed, and they're on their way back from the line. Because on the line they would have had their helmets, a lot of them, and they would have had more gear, like they would have had their bread bags and shit. And a lot of the Americans, or basically on top powers, would have said, "Hey, drop that shit, fucking let's move." But they still let them keep their gas masks, which is a huge thing because like both sides knew exactly what the hell that entailed if that happened.
Yeah,
and they were like, "This is fucked." But yeah, these guys in the front are, well, with the drop down collars, they're most likely, well, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
At least NCOs, but like those guys are gonna be leading that, and then yeah, they're calm, cool, collected, and these guys are just observing them walking by. And the Germans still always march very well, even when they're taking POW, because these guys know that it's over.
Yeah. Well, this photo is, thanks to the idiot Douglas Mastriano, this photo is continuously credited as the Germans captured by Alvin York on October 8th, 1918.
Are you horse fucking me?
And that this is out. It's on the front cover of Mastriano's book. And
are you serious?
Yes, this photo. And here's the beauty of it. And he says this is Alvin York right here, and these are the 3 German officers captured. But here's the beauty of it. This photo was taken September 26th, and it's the 35th Division. Right. So what Mastriano did was he has this mental gymnastics that the Signal Corps was mistaken. And this is actually Alvin York, based on only his opinion. And so just to prove him wrong, I went through all of the Signal Corps records and found that on October 8th, AC Duff here was taking photos 8 miles away from Châtel Chéry at a base hospital.
Right.
So there's no way he could have taken a photo of Alvin York. But this one and this one are the same photo, but either way, it was taken, 2 weeks before the Alvin York.
Sure. Yeah. So you get no argument from me that Here's the thing with Mastriano and my relationship, which is none. I viewed the guy's Facebook profile, and I'm like, yeah, you're one of those guys that uses your military service, quote unquote, to further any agenda you want to fucking push, and just have people be dumb enough to believe because you're in the military that you know everything. It's like, I have a huge fucking problem with that.
He's always, that's his big thing is, my service, or this is, the flag I flew. And
the fuck does that have to do with World War I?
Right. And it's like, hey, Mike, how many times when we were doing research and like applying shit to Revelay, how many times did I say, well, because of this, I know better?
0.
Right. It's not relevant.
Yeah.
My research is relevant.
Dude, I mean, like, you and I have talked so much about, like, photos and just like history and stuff like that. I don't think you've ever brought up your service once.
Right.
You know?
Especially to what the hell's the word I'm looking for? To validate my opinion on something. It's like, no, you did what you did, cool. That's 100 fucking years later in this case.
Yeah.
And that's where immediately, like, because I've known about Mastriano for probably before I knew about you, James.
Right.
And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm just like, this is a guy I never want to fucking encounter. Like, I never want. Oh, it was because, I used to be in touch with like Steven Gerrard, who you met, and all that stuff. I used to be in touch with them when I was really into reenacting and all that stuff, and I was selling things. And that's when I saw, like, vicariously, like through Facebook posts and shit, Mastriano's shit, and I'm like, okay, this guy is a fucking tool. Little did I know how much he would incorporate his, and yes, he come at me for, oh, you're slandering me. It's not slander if it's true. I've seen it. I've observed it. Right. I've observed it. You're using your military service currently in the 2010s or 2000s, we'll just say, possibly the 90s, because he's an old guy, but like, you're using that to justify your opinion on a historical topic that you claim to be fact, but you haven't quite researched it in its entirety. And I have a problem with that. It's like, again, I was in Iraq in 2009, right? Does that make me a qualified fucking expert just because I've done research on the 32nd Division in World War I? Does that make me a qualified expert because I was in the 32nd Division 90 fucking years later? No. I still have to put in all that work, and I have to put in the legwork, and it's exhausting. And what I did in a job in the military has no bearing really, except for the fact that, I was in the 32nd and I like the 32nd's history. That's about it. That's really about it. That's all the connections that can be drawn. Other than that, it's what I've researched and what I've, done and what I presented and how I presented it. That's what history or being a historian is about. It's not about, oh, I'm selling myself because I think you're too stupid to figure out that I am half-assing this shit. And you're going to believe me because I'm in the military or I was in the military.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it happens the other way, too.
That shit doesn't fly with me.
That was like tiny dick energy.
Well, the other way it happens all the time that I get it, where it's like, well, you've never served, so what do you know talking about military history?
I've gotten that a lot.
Pisses me off, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is, like, I'm like, again, it's the same idea. Okay. So you guys have both never been in the military. Hey, who gives a fuck? You guys have done more research than I have on certain topics, and you know a hell of a lot more than I do. My military, whatever the fuck, the job, I call it a job because it was, my military, service, we'll call it that, has no bearing on the amount of research that you guys have done to get it right. You don't have to be in the military to be able to do research competently and effectively. That's a huge fucking misnomer that people think, well, he was in the military, he did the research, so that gives him a leg up. It's like, no, you should scrutinize him more because it's like, you can't, anyway.
There's a bias. There's always a bias.
There's a huge bias.
The argument doesn't make any goddamn sense. I mean,
no, it doesn't. Yeah. And no. So James, if anybody, and I know Steve will say the same thing, Gerard, if anybody ever gives you shit for having never been in the military and doing all this research and like getting things right through actual research, not just I Wikipedia this shit and I did a little bit more research than I read some books and I went there once and I calculated everything. If anybody ever gives you shit for that, I will fucking back you up 110%. If they give you shit about the military thing, like fuck them. That's so fucking irrelevant.
Well, I brought it up in the article I wrote on 4 October because I compared it to other Marines that have written about it before.
Yeah.
And it's a retreat. That's what it was. It was the only documented retreat of the Marines in World War I. But if you read like Pete Owen and John Swift's book they wrote, both friends of mine, both damn good historians, but they're both Marines. So in the book they published, it never says the word retreat. It says withdraw or fall back. Or it's a spade is a spade. Let's call a spade a spade.
A
spade is a spade. Yet they are Marines and they were writing for the Marine Corps University Press, which technically I did too, but they never used the word retreat. And so there it
that's
is
the
right there.
problem.
Is like that's the issue. And
Right.
I called him out on it in the article because he had written a book years before called To the Limit of Endurance, which is a damn good book. But in that one, he mentions it and he calls it a retreat in that book, but he didn't call it a retreat in the article or in the book he wrote for the Marine Corps. So you do get bias, which I always like to bring up that sure, a Marine can write this story, but can a Marine write this story without taking a bias for the Corps?
Yeah. So the guy that you guys were just talking about,
Mastriano?
yeah, what's his name?
Douglas
Doug
Mastriano. Yeah.
Douglas Mastriano. Okay.
Yep.
If you want a good story, just type in Douglas Mastriano, James Gregory, and then you'll get a full report of how I reported him as an academic fraud.
I love it.
Yeah, because at that point he is.
Yeah, he is 100%. He's an academic fraud, and the
Yep.
University of Kentucky agreed with me, so they're pulling
Right.
his book.
Right. It's
Good.
like, dude, you can't.
Yeah.
It's like me writing an opinion piece in some fucking like Forbes or whatever, and then having it published as fact. It's like,
Yeah,
no, you can't do that, dude. Like and again, here's the thing, James. If you, a guy that's never served in the military, whatever, can actually pinpoint all of this precise information in a few years. I mean, I say a few years, but you know what I mean. It's a long time,
Yeah.
but like if you could do that in a few years, okay, and do it very accurately and have literal physical evidence to back everything up, what the fuck is his excuse? That's the problem I have. It's like, yeah.
Okay. I
He-
just
you
go,
found it?
go ahead. Well, I went to the motherfucker's Wikipedia page, and I went down.
I
here-
edited that a few weeks ago.
Okay, I went down to Alvin York, a biography, and the paragraph says researchers have questioned the accuracy of his book, including James Gregory.
I added my name into it. They had
Yeah.
only listed me as a PhD candidate, so I went in and put my name.
Nice, that's awesome, dude. Well, eventually we'll link off to your Wikipedia page when you get one.
Hey, that's true. Well, I think one day we should have a whole other 16 Alvin York debate if you guys ever want to talk about it. Before the book comes out or after, I don't care.
Hey, man, I'm willing to talk anytime.
There's a
Yeah,
lot.
and here's the thing is if Doug wants to come on here and debate you and do it
I
on the
would
stream,
love to debate all
Let's
that.
let the fireworks fly.
hey, here's the thing is I'll moderate. I'll moderate. I don't have a problem with being fair and doing that, but it's like I just have a hard time with people who peddle opinion as fact, historical fact. I have a huge problem with that, and I try not to do that. And if I do, which I did in my early days, I go, wait, fuck, that was wrong, and I just delete it and I go, hey, I was wrong about this. I fucked up. Okay, and like that's all you have to do is just admit.
Oh, well,
I
we all
was
screw
wrong.
up on accident,
Yeah.
you know.
And
It
yeah,
happens.
it's like okay, that's fine, but like it's
Acknowledge it.
acknowledge it, and that's what we're all learning. Like
Yeah.
we can have a debate and whatever, and yeah, the fact that he just doubles down on his bullshit.
Oh,
find
double
it
down
entertaining.
hard. He built a monument. The spot where he built the monument to Alvin York, you know how they decided it? They decided with their special forces knowledge, they walked that site that morning and thought this would be the site based on their experience in the Army in 1998. And they're like, no, this has to be it. And they're 800 yards off. You know? So then he destroys the site. He digs up all these artifacts, doesn't record anything. Then he's like, nope, this is it. Takes a bulldozer, bulldozes the site, builds the monument. And then when Dr. Nolan came in, they were like, no, you're an idiot. It's actually 800 yards to the south.
Talk about irony, dude. This guy's doing this all like in the name of history, and all he does is just shitting on history. You know,
constantly. He doesn't want to acknowledge, and you know, I've got my fair share of people angry at me, which is fine. It's what I get all the time.
Yeah, I've experienced my share of it too. Probably not as much as you because you're actually like, you know, you're like a pro with this stuff. So I'm an amateur, as they say.
It's fun. If you're not pissing somebody off, you're not doing a good enough job.
Hey, then I guess I'm doing a good job because I've pissed a lot of people off in the past.
Yep, and I'm doing a good job too because I pissed
I know you
a
have
lot
too.
of people off with my YouTube videos. Oh my god! Like the whole, I did a couple of videos a while back about the 1903, the low number 1903 thing, about like how they're just all fucking bombs. If you shoot them, they'll blow up. And it's like, okay, yeah, some of them were heat treated, not greatly, but like okay, let's look at this. And then, they're like, Hatcher's notebook said that they'll blow up. It's like, yeah, 68 out of fucking like several hundred they tested, 200 or something failed or whatever. And they also double loaded the fucking rounds, which is, going from 50,000 PSI to 100,000 PSI, which very few weapons can handle double loads consistently.
Mm.
And so I actually I did the research and I got the actual data and what he said and what they actually did, put that in a video. And oh my God, a lot of these older guys were just like, you're spreading misinformation to get people killed. And I was like, yeah, you also missed the part in the video where I said, I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not a fucking certified source. I'm just reading what I read, all that shit. And dude, that was a huge thing. And then I went out and shot a low number 1903 repeatedly, just fucking rapid fire. And they're like, well, it doesn't prove anything. You're just going to get people killed. And I'm like, okay. And then I also kind of brought in the fact of like, okay, so how many of these low serial number 1903s have been in Bubba's possession for fucking 90 years and have been killing game for 90 years and haven't been an issue with Bubba's hand loading?
Yeah.
Weird, right? And so I was like, that's anecdotal as shit, but it's still something to think about. And, presented with the actual data, whatever, but people were still pissed. They're like, no, you're fucking going to get people killed. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Okay,
Jesus.
fine.
Gun history is something that you can never deal with. I had it only barely because it was on the York shit. The 1903. But the evidence, what they ended up doing was when they did the excavations, they found, several the bullets that have been fired. Yeah. And then if you look at them and they had them analyzed, some of them had a right hand twist and some of them had a left hand twist. And so I had to go back in and go read the old Smith & Wesson, because what happened was the 82nd Division, they were just given guns. So some of them had 1911s, Colts, and then some of them had Smith & Wesson revolvers. And the revolver has a right hand twist, and the pistol, the Colt has a left hand twist.
Well, and the Colt revolver has a right hand twist as well.
Yeah. So and that was like that actually proved. Otis Merrithew always said he had a revolver. And so it proved that Otis Merrithew was the one firing the revolver. And so when they found bullets,
he was Smith & Wesson, yeah.
Exactly. Because they can count it. There were only 4 handguns. And I know that York had a pistol. York had a Colt. Beardsley had a Colt. And Early had a Colt, which means Merrithew's the only one that would have had that revolver.
So the other guys had 1911s or they had Colts?
All Colt 1911s, I think.
Okay.
I have to go back and look at my thing.
But
it wasn't. It wasn't. It was only. He was the only one with a Smith & Wesson.
Right, but here's the thing: is like, so the 1917 revolver. I'll just save you the fucking story on that.
Yeah, fucking.
Was made by Smith & Wesson and Colt. That's the thing. I have 2 Colts.
I'm talking they had the Colt 1911s.
The 1911, which I also have, and but you're positive of that because
I've got photographic evidence, and I mean York automatically Colt 1911. I was his gun of choice. Beardsley is the head officer, so he would have. It doesn't matter. He was wounded before he could even pull his out, so whether he did or didn't doesn't matter. And then I found a photo later of Percy Beardsley at his home posing for photographers with a trunk, and he pulled out his Colt 1911. So I know for a fact that he had it.
Okay. So because the only reason I say that is because I don't know if you know this, but like Pershing, his whole thing was he didn't give a fuck about rank. He said we want to get as much armament out to the AEF as humanly possible, which you probably know. I'm also saying this for my viewers. And so you would see privates carrying sidearms, and they'd either, which the more prevalent of the two was the Colt Model 9 or the Model 1917 revolver, which was predominantly Colt. Smith & Wesson made a lot of them. It's about 1/3, 2/3 in that ratio of the revolvers. The 1911 was a lot more expensive to produce because it was still a new firearm, right? And it was also mainly given to officers and senior NCOs. Mainly. It's not like a blanket statement. That's just a kind of a observation of the most. And so for York to have a 1911, it's interesting. It could have been damn well. It just depends on what the unit could have had. But like most enlisted guys in the First World War in the AEF that I've researched and what I've done so far is they were carrying the Model 1917 revolver in a left-handed holster, that's all they had because it was made for cavalry cross draw. or not cross draw, but like it was made so cavalry could draw it on horseback with one hand.
Right.
And so that's they were issued predominantly. Now, is it impossible for a private or a PFC to be carrying a 1911? Absolutely not. No,
well, and you got to remember, York was also a squad leader for a show shot. So
sure,
he and Beardsley, that's why they had specifically why those two had their.
And that's totally plausible.
They had the
totally,
if you were the gunner on a show shot, you had a pistol, and if you were the squad leader, you did. So that's why those
absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the thing is like, I just I love the fact that you narrowed it down with physical evidence that you recovered from the battlefield that Smith and Wesson model 1917.
Yeah, well, he had it all. He had it all analyzed by. I don't know if you know the name Doug Scott, but he's the one. He's the one who pioneered battlefield forensics because he's the one that did the Battle of Little Bighorn site after the fire, where he took all the bullets and forensically analyzed them. So Nolan sent all these to his lab, and his lab came back with the records saying, okay, these have drag. So I know these bullets came out of a pistol versus a revolver.
Right.
And these casings have a drag, which shows the firing pin. And then these don't. And then these had a right-hand twist. These don't. So we could narrow down who was there. But he did a good job. So all the bullets, he kept track of where they found them. So then I can put it on the map and show you exactly where these bullets were found. So I can basically track positions of the men in the squad. So.
Well, that's physical evidence. That's what we call physical evidence. And
it's great when you actually do the work, unlike Mastriano.
That's the thing is like, I'll talk shit about him all day because it's like the more you tell me about like what he failed to do. And here's the thing is he could have done
everything.
He could have done this. Like, what the fuck is the excuse?
Well, he did. So that was the funny part of it all was that Mastriano, and I'm sorry to be taking over y'all's photo time.
No, dude, keep going.
The stream's a stream. Like, this is how we do it.
He took all the bullets, and he had met some of the family members of the other 16, which is what I had done. But the families told him, well, Percy Beardsley said he fired bullets too. So when Mastriano, he found 21 bullet casings, he's like, oh, this proves it comes only from York. This proves York's story. And then later on, he sent it in to Doug Scott to be reviewed. And Doug said, these come from two separate weapons. And it was at that moment that Mastriano had to change his story and republish his findings to say, oh, well, I guess Beardsley did actually fire.
Dude, you know what? You got to take the L. If you're ever going to learn anything, you got to take your L's. Because
he likes to just make things. He was like, this proves my evidence. He did I have a story. I need evidence to prove it. And he made it fit.
That's like a fucking religious scam artist who says the world's going to end in this date. Then when it doesn't, they're like, well,
I read it wrong. It's going to happen. Yeah.
Right. It's like,
that's what he does. That's what he always did. It's ridiculous, but the doing the analysis on the bullets actually made it a lot more fun to deal with. And I know I told Mike this last time, but Michael, you haven't seen it. I got in contact with the archaeologist who did the excavations. He gave me all the artifacts. So now I have I can show you Murray Savage's helmet, or I can show you William Wine's mess kit. All these guys that were killed there on the battlefield. I've got their personal items.
Goddamn, dude. That's so cool.
It's awesome.
That's so cool. So I'm guessing you're a huge fan of the movie Sergeant York. Have you watched it?
I have a whole chapter in my book tearing it apart.
Nice. Okay.
I have a whole chapter later tearing Mastriano apart. So,
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I've watched it. Okay. I have watched it. And not only is it obviously bullshit, but I love the fact that they show the Meuse-Argonne forest looking like the Somme, just bare and full of craters and barbed wire.
Yeah, I guess they forgot the forest part of Meuse-Argonne.
Yeah, I forgot that it was in the middle of a thick-ass forest.
Right, a very thick-ass forest. And that's why, that's the thing is, like, my research with the 32nd is they were also there. And it's like, dude, so when they were first in country, or like actually in a campaign, was Alsace-Lorraine in May to June of 1918, and they were in Alsace where it was extremely thick forest. Their front line was 50 yards away from the Germans, right? But they're in a forest, so it's like we can't fucking see what they're doing. And it
Can't
was
see each other.
relatively
How do
quiet.
you think
Yeah.
York and them just accidentally walked up on 130 something
Right.
Germans because they couldn't see them?
They couldn't see
It was
shit
an
until you're there, and you're like,
accident.
"Oh fuck!"
You just come out of the woods and you're like, oh shit, there they are.
Well, and also like the basic bitch thing of this, like what's really funny is that's all I like in the video, and for people that are watching or are going to be watching, because a lot of people watch after the fact than are watching right now. That whole because most of the yes, you do know this, but like most of the Alvin York statues have him holding 1903.
Yep,
And
of course.
it's funny because
the movie does too. The movie does too.
Yeah,
The movie does too.
Exactly. That's what I brought up in the video. I was like, okay, so that's like kind of Americana. Oh, America, because the model 1917 was a quote unquote British gun.
Right.
Well,
It's Enfield. How dare you?
Yeah.
We don't use Enfields.
Yeah, well, it's like a quarter Enfield. It's like fuck, but and so it's funny because when you go to prove that like the 82nd Division in Camp Gordon had 1917 rifles, just like most of the fucking National Army units did after like January 1918, most of them had 1917s, even though they were still issued 1903s. Because here's the thing: is like 3 factories were producing the 1917s, 2 factories are producing the 1903s. 1903s required a lot more time and tooling, to be precise. They were still making them though. The 82nd happened to have 1917s. They went over to France with them. They were issued, like you said, number 1 Mark IIIs while they were training with the British for, whatever, logistic wise. And then they were issued their rifles back before they went to the front. Okay. Why in the fuck then would you even surmise that they had... Oh, did you see that one comment where the guy said, he didn't say like for effect, because I always heard that York worked to trade in his 1917 for 1903, and I'm like, but if a unit doesn't have 1903s, where the fuck are you going to get that?
Oh, he went back to the supply and took one.
Sure,
because he liked them better. No, he fucking didn't.
No, he didn't really fuck with guns, like rifles, especially that much before he went in. He's like, okay, well, whatever, and okay, maybe it was true that he didn't like the sights on them, but a lot of guys didn't.
Yeah. I mean, like, men are trading guns a lot, but that is not the case.
No, that's not how it works in the U.S. military. It's like people just think that guns are like, going to a pawn shop and like, I want this one.
No, hell, the Marines got in so much trouble when the 36th Division relieved them at Blancmont. The Marines took their BARs because they hadn't seen them yet. These guys have been using the same rifles they've had since they came over, and the 36th Division comes up and they're carrying brand new BARs. The Marines took them, and then they all got in trouble and had to return them because it wasn't
because it's not your unit's fucking it's not signed out to your unit. Yeah, exactly.
My favorite's one account from an officer. He was like, we got in trouble. I had to go back through all my men, tell them, give back the guns you stole. And then I went back to my foxhole and dug out the one I hid, and I had to return it too. So, they all did it. But it won't last, and definitely not with York. So
and that's the thing is like, and who gives a fuck? Like York was there, he did his thing. He had a 1917 rifle, and
don't be
a 1911 pistol.
Mike.
Like, it's like, okay, fine. Why don't you make the statue accordingly?
Yeah,
not just because of America.
Yeah,
no shit.
Statues are bullshit anyway, but
I can't wait to go. The statues are always such bullshit, but I hope to go put a copy of the other 16 at all of his statues.
Hey, I'm for that. But, I remember like a few years ago when like statues and stuff were being all like defamed and everything like that, and every boomer I knew was like up in arms about it. I'm like, who the fuck cares? It's just a piece of fucking stone, it doesn't mean anything.
Most of Yorks are bronze, though. That's what's
bronze.
fun.
Yeah, bronze.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like and all that shit. It's just like, hey, we as nerd historians, younger guys, we just want to get it right. Like we just want to.
You get it right. Don't get it wrong just because it looks better. I don't give a shit.
And it doesn't take anything away from these guys. It really doesn't. It actually adds a lot of times because mainly like in these big stories like York is like they focused on one guy for reasons, whatever. Like, but it's like
Yeah.
the other guys that were there, when you actually get it right, they actually get credit too, because they
Yeah,
were
and
there.
what is it? The book covers shared glory does not diminish the glory, which was the line I ended up going
Correct.
for.
Correct.
So it's like just because there were other guys there doesn't mean that somehow it's lesser. It just means that what's a better story? One guy who gets the Medal of Honor, or 17 men go in, 6 are killed, all of them, 2 DSCs, 1 Medal of Honor, and
Right.
14 Silver Stars. I mean, that's a much better story than
Right. And here's the
one
thing is
man.
what they did, even like as one guy, that's impossible. Like that's just a fucking
Mhm.
it's what you can't do that. There's no fucking way. 17 guys, even doing what they did, still damn near impossible. But it also could not be done with one guy. Like you need, what they did is like they stumbled on, from what I know, they stumbled on a position where they were like, oh fuck.
Well, and that's my favorite. They credit York with he killed 25 Germans. Bullshit. When they came upon it, they saw the Germans, so then they all lined up and opened fire. You're telling me those 17 men couldn't hit standing targets that weren't moving?
Right.
Even at the least, they shot 17 people.
Well, and 17 guys shooting 25 targets is a lot more believable than one guy shooting 25 with a bolt-action fucking rifle.
Right. So
it's like even that's impressive. Like that. Let's be honest here. 17 guys hitting 25 targets through that engagement, through that firefight. That's
against
impressive.
130 something.
And
then that's very impressive. So
here's the thing. I want to ask James because I'm a novice when it comes to Alvin York as well. When it comes to like World War I, in my movie Reveille, kind of as a little fun thing. The Americans that do mention the movie Sergeant York as being one of their favorite movies, but because it was popular at the time during World War II. Right. But was Alvin York? Was he like an amazing shot like the movie depicts? Was he like?
So he does have a background as a hunter. I'm not taking away that he was a great shot.
Right.
But I would like to add, since everyone likes to use that as an excuse, well, Alvin York was a crack shot. Percy Beardsley, the show shotgunner, also grew up in the backwoods in Connecticut, hunting his whole life. So if you're going to sit there and be like, oh, well, Alvin York had an upper hand, well, so did Percy Beardsley. He also hunted. He also was a crack shot. He also won shooting competitions in his home there in Connecticut.
Okay.
It's like that's another piece that needs to be added to it. It's not just
right
York.
because
everyone else was like from New York City and had never carried a gun, but you do at least have 2 guys that are crack shots.
Right. Well, because the movie depicts it as though is like anytime he shoots, he hits like center mass bullseye every time.
Right.
Like a millimeter off would be like impossible for him or something.
Yeah, no, that's always, and I think as part of it, I mean, like I said, I could talk about York forever. A part of my book covers the how the myth evolved. So I look at the fact that pieces of the York story, as you may know it, were made up by authors. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a bad game of telephone where the next author fucked it up and then changed it. So like the turkey shoot, where they run at him and he shoots them from the back to the front. That's not present in the original article, nor in the 82nd Division history. That's actually added in 1922 by Cohen, this author who writes about York for the first time. He adds the back to front thing, but in the original article, in the original 82nd Division history, it says front to back, like a normal human being would. But one guy, and what I think what happened is a bad game of telephone is Patullo says he shot them front to back because he was such a good shot from being back home doing turkey shoots at home. And then later Cohen changes that and says, just like the turkey shoots, he shoots them back to front. So one person can change a sentence and completely change the story for everyone else moving forward.
Interesting. Well, I wanted to ask something else when it came to your with the movie Sergeant York. Besides Alvin York, are there any people like in any other soldiers depicted in the movie as characters who were based on real people he was with.
Okay, so Pusher doesn't exist.
I thought,
He was made up for the story.
Mhm.
The other guys, like the drill instructor that yells at him, that's supposed to be that's Bernie Early. Bernard Early was not their instructor in the beginning, and then the rest of the guys, I think 4 of them are mentioned by name, but like once, and York's ordering them around. Zamowski, or no, what does he say? Donahue, take those soldiers back, and that's the only credit. And what I added in the movie or in the book was in the battle scene, you see the other guys shooting during the firefight, but then you fast forward a little bit when the investigation's back, it says York was the only one that fired a gun. So it's like they got it accurate for a second and then they took it away. But no, the other guys are not given any credit.
Yeah, I had a feeling the stupid, pudgy, comedic Pusher character was the way
he was made to make York look less like a country bumpkin.
Okay.
That was his whole purpose, was to make York not look so dumb. Because York mentioned that because I went through the Warner Brothers archives when I did the book. So I looked at how the screenwriters changed the story, and Pusher was created because they thought that it seemed like York was too much of an idiot because he didn't know what a subway was. So they created Pusher to explain what a subway was so that York didn't look so dumb. And they also they invented that whole scene of, and everyone quotes this as gospel, which is not true. The scene where Buxton and him have a discussion about the Bible, that never happened. That was added into the movie to make York look less like a religious fanatic. So, and that's like expressly written by the screenwriters. They said, yeah, we're doing this so he doesn't look so much like a fanatic. So they made up scenes to kind of like calm the public perception of York.
Was he like a huge devoted Bible thumper?
Born again Bible thumper. Yeah, he tried to get out of the draft 3 times.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
3 times he applied for conscientious objector status.
So I just, when it comes to this stuff, I always like hearing about, the facts versus the fucking movie and everything like that. Also, the scene when the Pusher character dies in the movie is pretty hilarious.
It's such a stupid movie, and York wanted it to focus only on his life and not the battle, and they added it later, so the battle stuff is an afterthought.
Well, that's kind of weird. They're like, I want the movie to be about my life. It's like, no, people only care about you because of the battle. That's so weird.
Exactly, it made no sense.
It's like,
it pisses me off that movie did so well.
Oh yeah, it came out at the perfect time.
Well, and York did a great job at selling himself. So it's just how it is. I mean, look how many other Medal of Honor recipients published books about the same time York did.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's mentioned in my movie. It's one of the soldiers says, "I wondered if you actually gobbled at them krauts like that." So.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So no one can blame you for the comment. It's just an unfortunate part.
Yeah. Well, it's a little nod to the bullshit that is, stuff like that. The perceptions of war versus what war really is.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like making a big deal. Yeah, it's a great little line that was put in there. And like nerds, like all of us now, I guess, because we're Michael's not quite on the same page yet because his mind hasn't been blown, but yeah, it's like it's just a kind of a you'll get a chuckle out of it, be like, nice.
Love it.
Mike, I gotta ask, are you painting these things behind you? Is this all you or
me? Yeah, I'm an artist. That's my thing. Yeah,
I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm an artist and filmer. This is right here. This is a specific casemate at Omaha Beach that I'm doing a reconstruction of after doing months and months of research on it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So.
Well, we can just have you, we'll go ahead and paint the other 16. We'll put that on the cover of the book.
Hey, man, yeah. You ever want to commission artwork? I've done it before,
yeah.
So I can dig it. Yeah. Look at that business going on right now.
Fuck die. Fucking Michael whoring himself out like he always does.
No, dude. Yeah, I do a lot of like war history stuff, and I mean, if you ever want to go to I'll friend you on Facebook. I have it all. Yeah. You can check it out all there. I do a lot of stuff on. My whole thing that I really focus on is Omaha Beach and trying to dispel Saving Private Ryan and all that crap.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've been like I've researched like every little bit of Omaha Beach so much to what it actually was, and that's a lot of what my artwork focuses on, is to try and bring that to people as to what it really was.
And also, Michael's pissed a lot of fucking people off.
Yes,
Really?
Which is fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
People worship the movie Saving Private Ryan, and I don't think Saving Private Ryan is awful, but it's just in my research and trying to get these things out there. It's like, okay, but people come up and say, wait a minute, that's not how it was in Saving Private Ryan, and then my head explodes when I hear that. You know,
I started my first draft of the book. Had my introduction was actually a discussion on what I called the cult of Alvin York and the cult of hero worship, and how people will just attach themselves, especially the movies, because I had to exclude it when I did the revisions for the press. I had to redo that whole font part, so I still plan on doing an article one day. But I used Hacksaw Ridge, right? And it's discussion.
Fuck that movie.
Like, and I use the part that like movies are made to be fictional, so it's like he was never court-martialed, yet it's in the movie, so people see it like, oh well, he was court-martialed, and yet no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was never actually court-martialed. He was threatened with a court-martial, but he was never court-martialed. That was pure Hollywood. But people only see the movie, and all of a sudden they think that's gospel, and therefore.
Yeah, here's the thing: like people that when I talk about this stuff and say, "Hey, this is what it was really like," we need to acknowledge that. And a lot of people love to say things, you know, like, "Well, it's a movie, not a documentary," and whatever like that. It's a movie, just meant for entertainment. It's like, yes, but people, okay, think about it. People don't read books. People don't watch documentaries. People watch fucking movies, and they take movies at face value. Only fucking nerds like us read books and watch documentaries on this stuff, you know?
Right.
And it's like, okay, but then okay, I know a lot of tour guides like in Normandy at Omaha Beach. The question they get asked the most is, where are those bunkers from the movie? Where is Captain Miller's grave? You know, it's like, to them, the movie is real.
That was real,
yeah.
Especially when you do the based on, you know, people like, it must be accurate.
Might as well just say this shit could have been real because you're gonna believe it.
Well, and I think people get those are the terms, right? That people get conflicted. Accurate and reality are two separate things. Saving Private Ryan was accurate to a degree, right? But it wasn't the reality of the situation.
No, it's a complete work of fiction. And
it's accurate. It's like this Vietnam vet I've been working with. He was in the Battle of Sui Cut, and the same division, 25th Division, with Oliver Stone. So the movie Platoon, I asked him, what do you think the most realistic war movie is? And he said, the movie Platoon, he's like, go watch the end battle. That's the Battle of Sui Cut. And he's like, that's pretty accurate to what we went through that night. Right? It's not perfect, but it gives you the right sense of what you're doing. And so I think Saving Private Ryan, I see it the same way. It gives people the sense of what happened,
right?
But it's not accurate to a historical standpoint.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
I was just gonna say, Mike, like our goal is, like with filmmaking, is to combine both of those and make it look real. So where people who don't really want to do more research and everything, when they're actually quoting a movie, it actually is accurate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, when like, because one thing that I've gotten a lot of, gotten a lot of shit in terms of criticizing Saving Private Ryan is, well, veterans when this came out said this was the most accurate thing. It's like, what they're talking about when they say that is the effects are really well done. The aesthetic looks really well. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about the facts.
It is accurate. It is not what happened.
Right. Yeah.
It's accurate to, not the actual thing.
No one's to say that and also that's another fucking thing that bothers me. It's like, okay, these 90-year-old men, who or 90-some-year-old men who lived this, 80-some years ago, they're not experts on this. They lived through it, yes, but they're not people who have researched this, So that's controversial take on the whole thing.
No, I made videos on that also got a lot of shit. Is veterans? It's like, people are people. Like, there's things about my deployment that I don't remember clearly. And that was only but it was 13 years ago. But it's like, there's things that I couldn't remember when I got back that I was like, it might have been this way. Like, if you're like, okay, what was the manufacturer on your fucking IOTV, like my vest.
They're not
I
gonna
don't fucking know.
Yeah.
All I know is what it looked like. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, like details like that. And so it's like veterans, it's not that they're lying, it's just that your memory is only as good as it is.
Well, yeah, and I mean, people are people. People aren't perfect. And I remember, I think one of the first big shit storms I got into online was there's this video on YouTube of this World War II German veteran talking about some of his experiences, and someone's like showing him a book of photos and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh yes, I recognize that. And I recognize that type of tank and everything." And they were asking him, like, okay, well, what happened to you when the war was over? And he was talking about when he got captured. And at one point, he's speaking in English, and he says, I had my helmet with me, and this and that. And he says, and I had that, he says, I had a Tommy gun with me, and he says it like that. And everyone in the comments was like, this guy had a Thompson with him, and I'm like, no. What he's saying is the only word for submachine gun that he knows in English is Tommy gun.
Right.
And everyone went for whatever reason, people wanted to pick a fight with me. They were like, no, he had a Thompson. It's like, what fucking proof do you have that that's the case? I mean, what proof do you have? I'm making a fucking logical, deduction here on the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. And it's ridiculous what people want to take. We had this discussion on memoirs. Mm-hmm. We brought up the fact that, like Bob Lackey, with his discussion on the Pacific.
Yeah, the Pacific.
Helmet for my pillow, right? Mm-hmm. We, as historians, most people just take memoirs for, like that's gospel because they lived it. Right. But those are written how long after? We should be taking it all with a grain of salt. Yes. Lackey doesn't remember every single detail of his service, yet people just like, oh, well, he's lived it, so he must be right. He can get things wrong. And they're not perfect. It requires you to look and do the research.
Yeah, dude. I'm not going to say this guy's name, but one guy's memoir from World War II I've researched extensively, and in comparing his memoir to historical facts, there's a lot of things that don't make sense, and then you have to go look at the actual divisional mourning reports to find the truth of what it is versus what he wrote in his book. And then I found out later that he had someone ghostwrite his memoir. He didn't even write it himself.
That's what they did with York's. Everyone takes York's story for gospel. York's story was written by a known swindler. And Scahill made up a lot of the shit in there. Even like the accent. He wrote in like the dialectic type, I touched him off. York does not sound like that. You can go watch videos on YouTube from the 40s of recordings of him talking. He doesn't talk like a country idiot. But Scahill wrote it like that, so people just automatically assume that must be the truth. But it's not. It just depends on how you look at it. And that vet I'm working with, it's his memoir, but we're using his diary, which was written at the time, and so he doesn't add to it. He just kind of fills in the gaps of what happened that day, but using the memoir of the thing. I hate it when historians write things like, the night before, they sat around the fire and discussed their lives at home. You don't fucking know that. You're just making that up for filler.
That's exactly like the thing with like. So the reason I actually came on to Michael's film, he approached me and I was like, I just flat out said no. I don't want to be a part of your fucking shitty World War II movie. No way. That's what I told him. Like, I wasn't that rude, but I was still pretty rude. I was like, yeah, no, and. Then he's like, let me send you the script. And I'm like, fine, fuck it. It took me weeks to read it. So I read it and I'm like, oh, there's none of that shit in here. There's none of that hyperbolic, like fucking honor and glory, what you think guys would be talking about. It's just what guys do talk about. Like the conversations that you have when you're in a really shitty situation. You don't talk about, oh yeah, I'm sitting around a fire and everything's jolly and we got a goose, we got it from the fucking it's just everything's fine. And what do you miss about home, dude? It's like, yeah, sure, that conversation comes up, but it's not like the hyperbolic shit that everybody thinks it is. It's like, no, it might come up. It's like when you have nothing else to talk about, and you're in a really shitty spot, and there's chaos and shit. You just kind of want to change the subject. Yeah, what do you miss about home, dude? Like that just to get it off the top. But like, it's not this like sitting around the campfire like this cliche shit, and it never has been. Because here's the thing: is people also think, here's the problem I have with World War One. Doing research on World War One, people think that people were so much soldiers specifically were so much different 100 years ago than they are now, and I'm like, that is not really that true. Yeah, sure, our clothes, the technology has changed. People themselves are still going to have the same conversations about the same topics. They might not use the same colloquial terms and slang and all that shit. That does change. Mm-hmm. But like the subject matter they're talking about and how they're going about it, they would have the same conversation in fucking Roman Legion in fucking 108 or BC.
Yep.
Like it's not even a question. Like people are not, they don't change that quickly. And that's the problem is like people think in World War One that people were so much different and they're so much more backwoods or this and that, whatever kind of hyperbolic bullshit you can come up with. It's like, no, they're still people. Like they're going to be sitting there in their positions and going, does our fucking leadership have any idea what the fuck they're doing? Like, why are we sitting here? Wow. What do they are? What do we have to like? Why can't they just tell us something? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are they so incompetent?
Yeah.
And then it's exactly the same conversations we have today.
Yep.
And we will have, as soldiers. Like, this is. Go ahead, Michael.
I was just gonna say that one time I watched a great video where I think he was Canadian Navy or Canadian Coast Guard or something like that, but he reacted. He did a reaction video on YouTube to Das Boot, the German film. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a scene in Das Boot where the captain, they're sitting around, the officers eating, and the captain starts talking about how he hates like Goring and people like that. And you just think, oh, those guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. And the guy who was doing the reaction, he stopped it and he said, people always think that we're out here like being really patriotic, but it's the exact opposite.
Correct.
It's like we're always out there saying, what the fuck are we doing here? Our leaders don't know shit, and all that stuff. So that's what it's really like.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
It's most of the time, especially as a lower enlisted guy, that's all you do is just go, fuck, these guys are so incompetent. They made that decision and set us into that shit. Mm-hmm. What the fuck are we really? Are they retarded? Like, what's going on here? Like, and again, the terminology or the words themselves may change. Same exact idea. Mm-hmm. Like those guys probably the night before this, instead of sitting around a campfire talking about all the luxuries of home, been like, probably sitting around a mediocre fire, trying to cook the slop, being like, God, this shit sucks. This food, God. Why can't they give us more winter gear? Like, what are we doing here? It's fucking freezing at night.
Yeah.
They can't give us an extra blanket. And these guys, what are we supposed to, like, what are we even doing? Like, we're not advancing. We're not retreating. We're just sitting here. Nothing's been going on. What the fuck, And yeah, it's all right. He's muted. We're good. But yeah, that's the kind of thing is like, soldiers bitch a lot. Mm-hmm. They bitch a lot. And it doesn't matter what country you're from, what time period you're from. Excuse me. Soldiers just bitch.
Right.
That's how you relieve a lot of stress. And it's like, if soldiers aren't bitching, there's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just saying, James, I was saying soldiers bitch. It doesn't matter what country or whatever year you came from. If soldiers are not bitching, then there is a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Well, it's like all the graffiti in Pompeii. It's the same shit we do now. I mean, once they excavate Pompeii, it's like, I fucked a chick here, or Felonious is gay. It's the same shit
dude,
we still write.
There are memes in Pompeii,
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen them. It's like, it's no different than fucking Facebook memes,
They're always, speaking of movies, I want to see if either of you have seen this while I'm thinking about it. Either of you watched on Amazon The Great War?
No. No.
It is the worst movie, and I'm not joking. It is the worst movie I have ever seen, and you will enjoy this, Michael. It is 100% a ripoff. Like he plagiarized Saving Private Ryan.
He's not the only one.
Scenes, like directly to the scenes, to the discussions, to the quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they did was like, there's a black unit, and the 77th Division has to go rescue them, and so they go do. My favorite is like for the scenes where and they didn't have enough cameras, so they just flipped the image to get like a different angle, which means the patch jumps from shoulder to shoulder.
I was talking about that. We just did a podcast about a war movie, and I mentioned that happening in war movies. That happens all the time.
Or since they're all using bolt action, they'll be in the middle of the fight, and the bolt's on the other side, and now they're all left-handed.
So when did this film come out?
2019.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I know.
Is it from our favorite producer / director?
Let me see. It might be actually.
Take a look. I watched it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's it's literally the cover worst
of it
ever.
The cover of it is like a black guy on the cover. Let's see. I because I remember seeing it posted on like Facebook, and people were like, "This is great." Then all the comments were like, "This is the biggest pile of diarrhea ever made."
And I'm telling you, you need to watch it because the scenes are downright just plagiarized off Saving Private Ryan.
You know, it's not the first movie though. Like Fury is just Saving Private Ryan in a tank. Hacksaw Ridge. I'm not saying like you can kind of tell they took. I'm literally saying they plagiarized the scene. Mike,
when they find the black unit. The black unit ambushes a German vehicle as it drives up, and they jump out of the grass.
So Mike, is it our favorite?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
I looked at it, said director. I'm like, oh. I was like, okay.
So that sound, because here's the thing is like when he was describing that to me, I was like, that sounds like a certain familiar individual that.
Yep, dude. With the guy we're talking about, we watched one of his movies last time I was hanging out at Mike's place, and that movie also had Billy Zane in it. This one also has Billy Zane in it. So Billy Zane was in that one. Was Battle of the Bulge or something?
It was Battle of the Bulge. Yeah,
Battle of the Ass Crack.
Y'all need to watch it if out of nothing just to get a really good comedy.
Dude, that's what we did with that Battle of the Bulge movie, and we had a gay old time. And so
it was fun as fuck to tear that fucker to shreds. It was so easy too. It was like, what? And the fact of the matter is that film makes money,
right?
And so stupid. Even the what's the quote in Saving Private Ryan when the officer is like, "No, we need to go save him," but he quotes Lincoln, I think.
Yeah, the Bigsby letter.
Whatever he quotes in that great war movie, he quotes the same letter but like 2 lines down.
Oh my God!
Wow. They were even using the same.
Wow!
Except this time it's Pershing making the argument.
Yeah.
It's funny. Saving Private Ryan uses the Bigsby letter in that. The Lincoln the letter that Lincoln wrote. Mm-hmm. However, there's a ton of speculation as to the accuracy of that letter, and I think it was that she actually didn't lose any sons at all, or something, or maybe it was only one or something. But anyway, there's controversy behind that as well. So,
Jesus. I'm gonna just both of you need to watch that movie, and you will get as much of a kick out of it as I did.
I will do no such thing. I'm not going to waste any more time from
I'll watch it.
You can watch it.
Thank you, Michael.
Here's the thing, James, is I've got a previous connection with the individual who makes these abhorrently shitty films.
Yeah, a personal thing, yeah.
And
I don't know why they keep letting him, but this thing, it's got like a 1 star on Amazon.
He still makes money off of this.
It's because he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, it's because he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, he makes a dime from it. That's good enough for him. He doesn't get. I'll make a Call of Duty ripoff movie. That's good enough for me. That's what.
If you want to see a really shitty movie, you should see Reveille when it comes out.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I'm shitting on my own pride and joy. Fuck. No, but that was a big motivation. Like things like that, and his quote unquote work was a big motivation to like actually make a war film that is just real and historically accurate.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, it's like because we've all seen these things that are just like fucking you shitting me, like whatever face palm. It's like fuck. But I think you know, when we got down and we actually shot this thing, I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but like I think you guys, yourself included, James, you're gonna be very, very like taken back by like, oh, okay, this is actually like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this is actually it. It's not an action film, it's a drama. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's really good. Everything
it is very unsensational. It is not your usual thing. So it's about getting to what it really is, what really is basically what we're talking about with history. So that's what we wanted to do with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it's going to be awesome. And
it's interesting having because I'm editing it right now. It's interesting editing in a completely different language because the half of the movie is German and half of it is in English, and we got actual German actors. So it's interesting. So, but it's cool, man.
You'll like it a lot. And then so I think we should do a stream sometime where like we have us three and then Brian on here.
Yeah, Brian is awesome. He's just awesome. You know.
He's like my fucking right hand. Like everything that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a part of me wants to be selfish about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you want to do a stream, or like even before the book comes out, I'm more than happy to do a whole stream on the other 16.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I want Brian here though because he was there for that talk that you and I and Brian had, and it's like because here's the thing is Michael's mind is going to blow up on the stream when he hears this shit, and he's going to be like we were like just kind of like.
That's the beauty of it. I didn't even tell them the full thing. I gave them just the.
No, and I don't want to know it all yet. I don't want you to lay out your cards.
It was just like all these preconceived notions of like the whole thing, and I'm like, but here's the thing: is my mind was blown because I'm like, oh, that makes total fucking sense, and it's fucked.
That no one thought about it.
Yep, and it's like so that's what I'm saying is like I want to have a stream with us four. I have Brian here, and we'll plan it, and then we could do that because. That's going to be a super fun stream, and I will let you guys know, the viewers right now and posts that are watching this later on. For that stream, I will let you guys know ahead of time on the community tab. If you're on Discord, you'll know. And then I'll have that thing going all day when we do it, like so people can be like, "Oh, he's going to be streaming," and we'll do that because that's going to be a very important one.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very fun because. Yeah, my mind was completely fucking blown. So was Brian's, and like James said, he hasn't even told us the half of it. Yeah,
no, I've told you the brief. I mean, I've got
the surface
level. Beauty. I've got photographic evidence and things that no one's ever seen before I can bring to the stream.
Well, you've also got archaeological evidence.
I've got the archaeology. I've got the artifacts. I've got the photos. I've got the documents.
And then what we have to do, and then go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, go ahead.
Okay. Well, then what we have to do is bring you, James, and Doug Mastriano on together, and we got to do that. We got to break the internet for a day.
I'd love to.
That would not be a bad thing. Like again, I can moderate, and I can.
Yeah, he's blocked my ass, so I don't think I'm going to get to talk to him anymore.
Well, if he's an actual soldier, like he says, he can fucking be a man and. Come on here and debate you. And
no, he likes to. He'll never actually mention me. He always mentions me. He used to do live streams on his Facebook where I used to watch him, and he would mention me, but only like on someone who thinks he knows. But
yeah, sure, and that's why I think it'd be
young man.
He would say some young guy thinks he knows.
Young guy. I think it'd be very healthy if we could get him to agree to that, to come on here and be like, yes, this will be public. This will be on my stream, on my channel,
and your career will be over at the end of it.
He's running for governor of Pennsylvania right now, and
perfect.
He was leading in the polls, so
that's fucked. But whatever. I'll do some more research on him too, so I know about him more. And just so it's fair, I'll get to the point where because I've known about him for 6 years now. and then I'll get it to the point where it's fair, and then I'll moderate it. And the cool thing about this is like if he starts going off on a tangent, I'll be like, Doug, stop, slow down. If he doesn't, I can just mute him and be like, all right, you ready to start that over again?
Right. I'd love to see him do tangents. That's the beauty of it's been 4 years on this
Oh no,
project.
but you know what I'm saying? Like if he starts attack and like if it's not a debate anymore, it's not fun.
You know what?
If it's just a shit slinging fest, it's like, well, what are you doing?
You know what also might be cool is if you brought just not as a moderator, but just as like if me, like I'd be an audience member, and like another audience member maybe to bring on might be Doug Strong because like he's closer to his age, and I might just be like, oh, now I feel like I have some of my comrades here because I'm not being picked on by these children or what, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And I'd have to have Doug, or I actually find somebody. No. You know who I'd have on?
Who?
James, do you know Rob Laplander?
Yeah. So he'll hate me for mentioning this. That Great War movie, Laplander's credited as one of the technical advisors for history.
Okay. And here's the thing: is I'm not going to shut on him too much for that because I know what probably happened because of.
Oh, he told us that the guy just ignored his comments.
It's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And
I feel bad for being attacked because I know it's not his fault.
No, it's not. It's not. Rob is a mentor of mine. He mentored me. Him and Ray Pyrus and a couple other guys. What's his name? Fucking Dave. Whatever. Anyway, those guys, really good guys, great historians, fantastic, better than me.
Laplander knows Mastriano. Because Mastriano just did a published series, Pershing's Lieutenants. It was where he edited it, and Laplander did a chapter in it for Mastriano.
Well, that's what I would think is instead of Doug, Rob's got a more. Michael, you don't know Rob, but like Rob is he's the one that wrote the Lost Battalion book.
Oh, cool.
And has done extensive research on that and knows the Lost Battalion like James, you know, the amount that James knows the battle at Chateau Thierry in October 1918. Rob knows the Battle of the Lost Battalion like the back of his fucking hand. He can tell you anything you want to know, exactly where people were. He's been there multiple times. He's actually done the research. He's a good guy. And also he was a Marine, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't ask him. He's not a cunt about it.
Yeah.
And so like Rob is a fantastic historian. And he's funny as shit. Like the guy is really God.
I call Rob every now and then. I'll just call Rob and talk for an hour or so.
He's funny as shit. Like when we were together at reenactments, we just start just flinging shit at each other, and it's so fun because he's so smart and like, you know, he just flings it back. But also he's like anything you want to know. He's not a dick about it. He'll teach you. He'll make sure you understand it. I think that would be a great person to have on if we ever did the whole thing with, you know, I'll moderate and then Rob can kind of be there as an observer because A, he knows Doug, and then B,
he's familiar with the other 16 stuff too.
I'm aware that he's actually the one that sent me the link.
Oh, good.
Initially.
Attaboy.
So yeah, Rob is Rob and I like we haven't talked in a bit, but like it's not like we're not friends. It's just whatever. Like I haven't reenacted in a while, and I haven't, you know. Oh, actually, I talked to him a while back, but like there was a dead end because I was asking for army research, and he's like, I don't know that. So, but he gave me somebody that could do it. And no, but like Rob lives like a couple hours away from me too, and so I know him personally. I've met him several times. And Rob, if you're watching, by the way, you're a very short, old, wrinkly, kind of haggard piece of shit looking guy, but I love you.
Yeah, how dare you attach yourself to a shit movie?
Yeah, Rob. Yeah, somebody's gonna be like, somebody that knows him, I was gonna be like, "Hey, Rob, they mentioned you.
They were talking shit about you."
He's gonna be like, "Oh, Mike, that fat ogre fuck mentioned me on a live stream. Yeah, that's fun." But no, so that I think I would be comfortable with that. Good idea, Michael. Like having me, him, Doug.
I think it's a great idea, but I'm just going to say that Mastriano is.
I know he's not going to show.
Infamous for avoiding any confrontation about this. So
right, hey, look, it doesn't have to be a confrontation.
No, it doesn't have to be. And then so, yeah, I could talk to Rob actually, and I mean it's not gonna be immediate. Like this isn't gonna happen like fucking 3 days from now. But like, I could talk to Rob and see if he could talk to Doug, and then we get in the wheelhouse and I could talk to him and be like, hey, I would just like to have a respectful, level-headed debate. And you would also have to hold up to that, James, and I know you will.
Hey, I can hold up to anything.
Yep.
You've met Steven. I'm Steven's I have to hold the reins for him all
I
the
actually
time.
haven't met Steven.
Well, you've seen him enough to know what he's like on Facebook.
He's very calm, but he's also very well, no. He's very calm, but he's also very when he gets fired up, but he also backs it up with fact.
No, he does. But especially dealing with this, it's like I'm very what do we tell him? He's like, if you really want something to be hit, you send in the bull in the china shop, and that's Steve, 100%.
Yeah.
If you could ever get it to agree, I would have the most fun, because
right, and it's just
not me,
I would see. Here's the thing: is I would come up with a series of questions as the moderator, and I would just come up and I would just ask whether whoever it's directed to. I would ask both of you hard questions, and like explain your viewpoint, and then it would be like, here's the thing: is like I think that too many of these debates, quote unquote, turn into shit flinging fests.
Yeah.
Whether it be presidential, senatorial, who gives a fuck, anything. And it was like, I just want to hear both points of view, and I'm not going to have I will abstain from having an opinion or be biased on all that shit. I just want to ask questions and then let the parties present themselves. And I think having Rob there as kind of an audience member will give Doug, if he does show up, which is going to be a fucking act of God, but like if he does show up, Rob could be there, just like Doug, just knowing he's there would probably comfort him a little bit. He's a very fragile kind of guy, and it would probably do that. But also Rob would make sure that he would also back me up and be like, make sure that shit doesn't get too fucking heated. It's like, no, let's have a fucking debate because this is history and this is a very important topic in American history.
Give him an opportunity to comment on my accusations of academic fraud.
Sure. Yep. And if he fucking does it very well, okay. If he doesn't do it well but he does it calmly, okay. People can make up their own minds.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd be down, but I'm also down just to talk about the other 16 all you
Well, me too, but like, yeah, we don't have enough time right now because
no, not now. I meant
dude, that's gonna probably have to be like what, a 3 or 4 hour
stream? I could make it expand. I mean, that story that covers 100 years. So
why don't we chunk it out then? Why don't we figure out how to chunk it out?
Whatever you want. I mean, it's like I said, the as far, like, if you look at it, like the book is split up, it goes from the myth, the battle, how you know it, kind of what the movie shows.
Yeah.
The introduction of the other guys, the battle itself, the investigation of the Medal of Honor, then the 1920s, the 1930s, 1940s.
That's where you got me and Brian. Like
that's where I blew your mind.
That's where it was like, yeah, because everybody knows the battle, relatively what took place, or quote unquote took place. What blew my mind is the Medal of Honor investigation. And we'll leave that as a teaser for these guys. That was fucked.
Yeah.
That's one of the most fucked things I've ever heard in my life. And about this kind of subject. And it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden you told us about a little bit about what happened in the 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where it starts piquing my interest a lot. Because the battle itself, okay, it's combat, shit happens.
Yeah. Fog of war.
Fog of war, exactly. But little did I know. And then
the investigation, the War College event, that's the Army side of it. Then you have the 30s, which is just that's not super deep. Then you get the movie discussion,
right?
And then once the movie's done, then you get Merrithew and Lyndon Johnson, Ed Kennedy. They all get involved, and then you could do a whole discussion on the 2000s on how the Descendants tried to create and get the story out there, and it was also killed off by Mastriano, which is where I picked up. So there's a lot. I think we could do it in a few hours, but it would just be an afternoon that we decide, sit down, and I can come prepared.
Well, if you want to do it, if you want to estimate how many hours it would take,
we take a few. I mean, this has been 2 hours. I guarantee I could do the whole discussion 2-3 hours with us, without diving too deep.
Yeah, because I mean, and that also get people to buy your book because they're going to want to know more. And obviously I'm going to buy it too. Michael is too. And so is Brian. And that's the thing is like, we should figure out a day. Yeah, let's figure out a day.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys that are
fine,
watching
man.
this right now.
This is summer, all right? My finals week is this week. Once I'm done grading, I'm open all summer. So you pick a day, we'll make it work.
Shit.
Right on.
Yeah, that's the beauty of teaching. You know, you get a summer break. So
those who can't do, teach.
exactly.
Teach Jim.
Jim. Yes. All right. Thank you, Jack Black.
Oh, thank you for the reference. Finally, somebody fucking gets it.
School of Rock.
Oh, dude, amazing. Fucking love that shit. It's so shitty that it's good.
It's I wouldn't even say it's underrated. It's just everyone fucking loves School of Rock.
Oh, it's fucking great. Like
can't not love it.
It's so fucking like Jack Black was in his element there.
You know, Jack Black has a video game.
I
played it the other day. It's on the original Xbox. It's fucking wonderful.
Just Jack Black the video game? What
no,
is it?
It's called shit. Hang on. It's really good. It's like you're like Jack Black is the main character basically, even though it's not him, and he dies, and you end up in like rock and roll afterlife. And your whole video game is you're a roadie, and so you're like helping these people in hell. Ozzy Osbourne's in the game. There's several other like famous rockers that did the voices. It's called Brutal Legend.
Ronnie James fucking Dio's in there.
Yeah, Dio's in it. Brutal Legend.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great. I played it all the way through. It's a
dude.
Fun
Have
game.
you ever seen? Side note: have you ever seen when they were doing Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, and Ronnie was supposed to do like that riff that he did at the beginning?
Yeah.
Did you ever see like when they were in the studios like recording that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god, it's on YouTube. I should send it to you. Like,
okay.
Jack, there's one guy that literally faints, and it was take one. It was take one, and Dio just fucking nails it. And Jack Black goes up to him. He goes, "Was that okay, man?" He goes, "Yeah. That was great." Like,
I gotta see it. You gotta. See
I gotta fuck it. I gotta find.
I love Tenacious D.
Oh yeah.
Movie. Well, yeah, that sounds great. Well, then it sounds like we got a plan in the future to do a whole other 16. And like I said, I can bring out artifacts and photos and documents that have never been released, and we can talk about.
Yeah,
it.
we can make a definite anthology out of this.
Well, you know, my plan is whenever the book comes out, I'm going to release. I'll self-publish it through Amazon. A source book with all the letters and documents from the families that have never been released, so that no one can say I'm lying. I'll give you all the documents. You can all look at it yourself.
You know, rewrite history with this one.
Hey, that's the plan.
Just make it right. Just make it right. That's all of our goals sitting here is just get it right. Like, get it right.
Yep.
And here's the thing is if we fuck up down the road and we don't get it right on one thing, we're all men enough to go, okay, I was incorrect on this.
Oh, I fucked up. My first article I wrote for Infantry Magazine, and this is not my fault. It's Mastriano's fault, so I blame him 100%. I used him as my source. And so in the article, I'm using his designation for the German units. He's wrong. He got them wrong. So in the book, I have a footnote saying this was originally published in the Infantry Magazine article. I was incorrect on the German units.
There you go.
The book has the correct. This now continues the correct verified German units.
Yeah, there you go.
So I had to make sure I put a point in there. Like I was wrong earlier, which not my fault. My source was wrong. But
well, that means you were wrong.
I need
to
use
the source.
Yeah, but you know, God forbid I trust him.
Yeah, and God forbid you make a mistake and then correct it later. And
so I put it in a footnote. I was like, I have to address this, or else someone's going to try and rip my balls off over it.
Right.
Oh, well, you published this before, and now you're saying this? Yeah. We're allowed
well, yeah, nobody's perfect, and that's what history is all about: is people challenging your opinion on it and then getting it right. So, all right, I sent you, James. I sent you that.
Got it.
Yeah, that fucking video is amazing. Michael, do you want that video too?
Sure.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, like this one guy faints in the background. It's like very subtle, but like, he just fucking kills it.
No,
and then
I'll have to watch this shit.
Oh, it's great. And he's like, "Do you want another take?" They're like, "Do we need?" No. Just how good he was, but
noise.
Fucker never did drugs, never drank, never did any of that shit. Dies of stomach cancer. What the fuck?
Yeah, he was just lucky.
Lucky?
Yeah, he was just lucky.
Yeah, he's just lucky. But yeah,
he was the chosen one.
Yeah, and it sucks, but anyway. Good stream, guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the first of
Appreciate it.
many. So for
Yeah.
those of you that are watching live, congratulations. You guys have a lot more to look forward to. For those of you that are watching after this, comment with 16 in the comments after after we're done streaming. Just comment with 16 if you made it to the end and watch this. Because yeah, it's that stream that we actually go through that is going to be fucking mind-blowing for a lot of people, and people will still be in the comments, or they'll still be like, no, that's and then you present the evidence, they'll be like, oh god. So it's gonna be great. But anyway,
the world as you knew it is not as it really is.
Yes, sir, you're correct. Anyway, all right, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next time we stream.